Drugs. See y'all go in the park. System overload.
This is Sean O'Malley, and you're watching Full-Time MMA. Don't be a bagel bite, bagel bitch boy, bagel bitch back.
What is up, Full-Time family? It's time to start the show. We're going to have a good show today. We're going to be talking about UFC versus Bellator. We got a news topic to talk about, but that's just something we can expound on and just chop it up with the Full-Time family. But also, I'm introducing some new stuff to the show, you guys. I was up to like 7 in the morning putting together this new segment for the show. For all the simps out there, you guys are going to love it. I can't wait to get to the middle of the show. We got a new segment coming up, but we're going to start the show off. I see we got some new people in here. If you're new, normally we start the show off. If you don't know about UFC Yankovic, you're going too soon, because since we're talking about UFC versus Bellator, there's no way to start the show off better than Scott Coker versus Bellator, the UFC Yankovic rap. It's so fucking hilarious. So we're going to start the show off that way. And also, I'm adding something else to the show. I think we're going to get a daily co-host, but just a new person. Whoever's one of the first people to show up, we're going to pop like over here. How are we going to do it? Over here. And we're going to have a daily co-host. Just the first person that wants to hop on a Google Hangout for the daily live chat. They're going to be talking about all of this with us as well. So if any of you listening right now, and I see we got a super chat. What's going on, Full-Time family? Let's check that out. I also got to update those tip alerts, man. I'm over here. I'm working PK Boxing and MMA with the $1.99 in the super chat. Salute to PK Boxing and MMA. Thank you very much for the support, good sir. This alias, okay, and I'm also testing out the Nightbot. Yo, I'm working. Nightbot's still not working. That one's not the bagel biter, so I have to disable that one for right now. I'm gonna have to figure out why a couple of my Nightbots aren't working. I'll get those figured out though. But yeah, man, a lot of stuff. So we're adding some new stuff to the channel, and like I was saying, if anybody wants to hop on, be a co-host for today, man, you can. Just simple as a Google Hangout. I'll plug you right into the other side of the screen, and I think we'll start doing that throughout the show. We'll have a daily host, a daily co-host, just whoever hops on, just another fan. So we're going to start doing that. Whether we don't do it today, we might do it next week. You get the point. And y'all want a sneak preview? Fuck it, since y'all are here. I tell you what, we're going to start the show off. We're going to play UFC versus Bellator. I'm going to give you guys a sneak preview of the motherfucking freaking new segment. I'm over here treating this like it's Coach's channel, PG-13 and shit. But it is what it is. So, let's start the show off, though. UFC Yankovic, man. Scott Coker versus Dana White. This is definitely one that a lot of people enjoyed. Let's check this out, man. And then I'm going to preview something for you guys. We're going to have some fun. It's a good show. I got work tomorrow, family, and all next week. So the shows are going to start switching back to the morning because I got some work, which is fucking awesome. So a lot of good stuff going on, Full-Time family. New stuff coming, good stuff going on. Hope you guys are all doing well as well. Of course, we're going to be chopping it up after this song. Let's check it out. Bellator. I'm repping Bellator. Hey. What side are you on, Full-Time family? Bellator or UFC? Let me know now.
Bellator, I'm reppin' Bellator, 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 I'm reppin' Bellator, 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 I'm reppin' Bellator, 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 I'm reppin' Bellator. Look, Dana White, you found a fight. You said some shit that I ain't like about Bellator, so now it's time to back it up. Now grab the mic. You slap the fighters with the Reebok deal and treat them like some fools. I ask the fighters how the people feel, so people think I'm cool. Yeah, Scott Coker, baby, you ain't fucking with us. I'm like a stockbroker, baby, and I'm running it up. Go get your pot holders, baby, I'm like the oven to touch. And you can get Conor Tony, Dana my Chandler, fucking him up. Whoa there, Scott. Whoa, what the fuck? Maybe when you smoke your pie, you shouldn't smoke so much. Because I know that you're high. Michael Chandler would die against Conor or Tony. Homie, so don't even try. Now, should I keep it with you, or should I get on your roster? Even Jimmy Smith is just a roster imposter. You got James Gallagher, he just wanna be Conor. You got Rory McDonald only cause we didn't want him. You see, Scott Coker, me and you, we are not kosher. You're not a stockbroker, boy, you're a stockholder. What the fuck were you thinking, sending that shitty diss my way? You need to think before you diss.
And while you're at it, take these flyweights. What's going on, Full-Time family? You guys ready to preview the new segment? We're gonna get out of here with McGregor versus Khabib. But if you haven't yet, make sure you check out UFC Yankovic on YouTube. We need to get that to 1,000 subscribers. Once we do, it's going to be a motherfucking party. So let's do that. If you haven't, do me a favor, subscribe to UFC Yankovic. Check out all the fun MMA parody songs. Y'all ready though? We need to preview this anyway. I need to know if the music's too loud, too low. Do I need to turn it up? Y'all ready for the? Well, we're gonna start doing this in the middle of each show. I had to make a special Instagram for this. Y'all ready? You ready? Ready for it? Ready for it? Yo, the Simp segment. You guys ready for the Simp segment where we browse through WMMA Instagram and break up the monotony? That's what we're gonna do, man. It's a sausage fest in here 90% of the time. 90% or more guys, man. So for all the casuals fans and the simps out there, we're going to give them what they want in the middle of the show, family. So that's the new Simp segment. Simping ain't easy. What you talking about, full-time family? Y'all ready? Now let's get back to the show. Y'all ready? The Simp segment. Y'all ain't ready for that. I put that shit together, the background and all that. I was up late. I was having some fun. The music, how was the music? The music was good. Music was good. Ready for it? What's going on, full-time family? Let me pull up the chat and see what everybody's talking about. Amadeus 2248 in the building. Russian bot exists BMX. UFC has the monopoly. Jason KCMO says UFC. Music's good says Jason KCMO. Oh Lord, damn says Remove Lizard. Yo, for the Simps out there. No, but yeah, we're gonna wait till we get to the middle of the show. But yeah, man, that's gonna be our new segment, our new midway. You know, break up the monotony segment we got coming. So, yeah, man, that's gonna be fun. We also, we're gonna have a daily co-host coming. We got a lot of stuff coming for the show. Full-time family, steady working. So, Connor Lodge said, "What up, full-time and family? Not much. What's going on, Connor Lodge? London calling forward in the building. Yo, forward. I don't know if you heard it, but I'm gonna start doing like a daily co-host, just like the first person that wants on each day, hop on and we can talk about all the topics. You know what I'm saying? So." If you want to hop on, if anybody wants to hop on, let me know. I'll send you the link to a Google Hangout, and you can be the co-host for the day. We're going to start doing that for the show every day, any day, anybody that wants to chop it up. So with that being said, man, let's get the show started. Joe Rogan would love it if Bellator developed into a full rival for the UFC. Now, even now, they've made a lot of progress, but they've got a long way to go. You know what I'm saying? Bellator MMA, I definitely... And I want to know what you guys have to think. Do you guys think that they can develop into a full rival for the UFC? That I'm not sure. I mean, I think they could if things keep going the way they're going, because as we see it, the UFC is re-signing less and less fighters that we deem as fan favorite, guys that we like watching, guys that we know are great fighters, some of the best in the world. Rory McDonald, Gegard Mousasi, Eddie Alvarez is about to become a free agent, I believe. You know, the UFC, there's a lot of guys that get let go, and it's because the Bellator is now offering guys a decent amount of money, so they have options. So if they don't like the offer they get from the UFC, now they can go test free agency, and Bellator might give them a better offer. And you actually see a lot of guys are actually making more money over at Bellator. So it would be expensive for the UFC to just pay everybody what they're asking for when you got Bellator nipping at your fucking heels. You know what I'm saying? Like anybody that you don't got much wiggle room. Like let's say Eddie Alvarez, if he wants a minimum of $250,000 to fight, you know what I'm saying? UFC might be like, we can't do that, dude. You might not even be champion again at this point. You know, like you're content, like $250,000. Like it might not be worth it to the UFC, who has to pay back this loan and all that. So with that being said, Bellator, on the other hand, they might be willing to give Eddie Alvarez close to what he wants, and then on top of that, he's open to getting sponsorships. He'll probably be the face of an organization, and Bellator, definitely one of their biggest stars and a hot commodity over there. So that's why the UFC can't match some of these deals, and the UFC, Bellator is going to keep picking up more and more names, and we're going to see this, but still, the UFC is more deep, and by more deep, I mean 1 through 25 in each division. They've got a lot better fighters. It's like a Shark Tank. Now, Bellator's starting to compete in like the 1 through 5 of each division. They're starting to get a nice top of each division as far as their top 5 guys in the welterweight division, they're beasts. Their top 5 guys in the middleweight division are fucking beasts. A lot of those guys could compete in the UFC, but that's just their like top 5. Some divisions are deeper than others, but give or take, they got 5 really good guys in each division. And like I said, that's give or take. So the UFC is deeper. They've got more fighters, but Bellator can make a run. And arguably, you could say they have better fighters in certain divisions. You could make a case Gegard Mousasi would give a good fight to Robert Whittaker, and you could make a great case Rory McDonald would beat Tyron Woodley again. He's already did it. So Bellator's on the rise, and Joe Rogan recently spoke with TJ Dillashaw on the podcast, and he said he would love it if they developed into a full rival. And one of the things that would also be a possibility with that is like a co-promotion. Already, I mean, we could have a pretty nice card right now. You put Woodley versus McDonald 2, Mousasi versus Whittaker, and we could just fill out the rest. I mean, you got guys down there like Darion Caldwell, who's actually one of Dominick Cruz's teammates. So Darion Caldwell could fight TJ champ versus champ, and there's actually a little bit of a beef there because Team Cruz versus TJ. You got that fight. I mean, you know, you could probably put like one super cross-promotion card together almost. You couldn't do it every fucking weekend. You couldn't do it every week. Bellator versus UFC wouldn't work. Well, you could do it like once every fucking 5 years. We're almost to a nice card. You know what I'm saying? Yo, the whole prelims, you know how crazy that would be for an MMA fan right now if we actually saw UFC versus Bellator, a card. I mean, Michael Chandler and Brent Primus. If Michael Chandler wins that title back whenever they fight again, you could have like Michael Chandler versus Khabib or Conor. Now that seems more on the UFC side. Michael Chandler's a beast, but you got that lightweight division is tough. So, but still, welterweight Rory McDonald, middleweight Gegard Mousasi. I don't even know who Bellator's light heavyweight champion is off the top of my head. Do they even have one? I can't think of it. But still, they got some good fighters over there. Even the female division, Alima Leigh McFarland, they got a female featherweight champion, Julia Budd. So that would be a fun possibility. And I don't know how the UFC and Bellator would work that out, being competition and all of that. But I'm not going to lie, as a fan, I'm buying that pay-per-view. Remove Lizard in the building says Bellator is clearly the second organization, and the way the UFC is going could catch up. Yeah, I do think they could catch up. Now, 4 or 5 years ago, you probably could have never imagined Bellator competing with the UFC, but they've been making moves. PK Boxing and MMA says, can't believe they let Mousasi go. I mean, I can, I guess, but I thought he could have been middleweight champion. Me too. Moose the GOAT. Yo, Mousasi is definitely one of the best middleweights in the world. To see him go with, as a Mousasi fan, I was like, no, he was right there. He needs to be fighting for the title. What? No. So that's one. And then McDonald, and whenever he left the UFC, people were like, oh, will he ever be the same? Now he's looking pretty good, man. And he's got the win over Woodley. He's the welterweight champion over at Bellator, about to be fighting Mousasi for a second title to potentially win. Got the welterweight Grand Prix going on at Bellator. They got the tournaments going on. The heavyweight Grand Prix, the welterweight Grand Prix. I mean, the featherweight division. They're going to Hawaii before the UFC. They're doing a lot of things right. Fighters still get their sponsors. Like, Bellator is looking good. If it ever comes down to a point to where we got to pick Bellator or the UFC, I don't know what side I'm choosing right now, because Bellator is looking pretty good. Now, UFC, they already got, you know, they're more established, but Bellator is looking great. Yo, Jordan says, yeah, UFC is on crack. I got to see that, yo. What did he say before that I missed? Let's see. Yo, Jordan says, Chris Lieben fighting bare knuckle against another UFC vet. Yeah, man. Bare knuckle citing a lot of those UFC veterans. They definitely are. Dan Boone, world MMA title. Oh, yeah, world title. That would be like the best in the world, whoever won. But I don't know, because you got some of the... There's a couple other organizations out there, and they're not as deep as Bellator. And, you know, like UFC, their top 1 through 25 are beasts. Bellator, their top 1 through 5, and this is an average, are beasts. But there's some guys like in the ACB, their top 3, in each division, there's some beasts too. There's some monsters out there that ain't even in the UFC and Bellator that we don't know about because we don't really see those promotions. But there's actually some great fighters out there that could be signed and, you know, be the next thing. They're just not in the UFC or Bellator yet. There's some good dudes out there. Bellator's not even just UFC vets though. They got some great fucking prospects. Scott Coker, you know, with Strikeforce brought up guys like Daniel Cormier and all these guys before they were world champions. Luke Rockhold, Ronda Rousey. He had such an eye for talent. A lot of those people went on to become UFC champions. And now he's got these guys coming up like Ed Ruth, Aaron Pico. He's got guys, you know, there's a lot of up-and-comers over there at Bellator. Whether they're wrestlers like Darion Caldwell, they're young, they're still developing their game, whatever. There's a lot of young talent over at Bellator that could develop into very, very good MMA fighters, future champions and future GOATs. Right now, Daniel Cormier is considered the greatest of all time, if not the one of for sure. Aaron Pico in his future, with his background and everything, he could for sure be in that conversation in 10 years, 15 years, who knows. But he's over at Bellator right now. But they got some great talent coming up as well. They got guys in their prime. They got some fun veterans that be throwing down, and then they got some great up and coming talent. What more can you ask for? Trollbuster said T Wood will destroy Rory now. You think so, man? That'd be a great fight. I think he very well could. He very well could. But I think there's a lot of people that might beg to differ. You know what I'm saying? Rory McDonald's a lot easier to root for than Colby Covington. I think whenever Tyron fights Covington, people are going to want to see him, get him the fuck out of there. Like, yeah, fuck this guy. I can't wait for you to shut him up. But if he fought Rory McDonald, I think you might start to see a lot of people coming out saying, hey, I got Rory. I just think that. Yo, Jordan says, I was going for Woodley back when he fought Rory. I knew Woodley was champ material. Yeah, man, he's been champ material for a while, but one of those losses will set you back. You know, especially if you're not getting the biggest push or whatever. A loss, you got to win 2 more fights, 3 more fights now when you were right on the cusp of a title shot. That happens to some people. Be right close to the title shot, lose, and set it back. Nightbot, is it working? Damn it. That one's not working either. All right, well, let's shut it off. We're going to fix that shit. I might have to figure it out on a different stream, but the problem is I can't stream on my other channels right now. So either way, I'll look it up. I might have to do something about that. But yeah, man, at least one of them works. Forward says, how about Whitaker versus Mousasi? I seen also Israel Ayadong says, who y'all got, GGG or Canelo? I got Triple G. Ain't he the one that won the first one before, you know, aside from the Adelaide Bird? Ain't Triple G the one that got robbed? That's who I picked to win the first one. For everything I had heard as a casual boxing fan, he sounded like he had the most skills compared to Canelo, who sounded like he had the most hype. I went with Triple G, and it sounded like, you know what I'm saying, he's the one that a lot of people thought won. How about Whitaker versus Mousasi? That's a crazy fight, says Forward. Completely agree. And if somebody said that they want to hop on and be the co-host for the day, let me know. I didn't see it in the chat, but that option is for anybody out there with Google Hangouts or Skype. You can hop on and talk about these topics as well. That's not the one we're on yet. We are still talking about Bellator versus the UFC. So, but let's read what Joe Rogan had to say. He said, "I like." Oh, and that's another thing that Joe Rogan's about to talk about is the commentators have even been switching up and shit. You know what I'm saying? Mike Goldberg's over there. John McCarthy was literally a referee at UFC 1, like 2, 3. Young John McCarthy. I'm like UFC 7. I've been watching them all, and I can't think of one that John McCarthy wasn't the referee. So he's been with the UFC from the jump, John McCarthy has. And now he's with Bellator. Mike Goldberg, he's with Bellator, the old voice of the UFC. Jimmy Smith, now he's with the UFC. So we're playing fucking switch them up in musical chairs with the commentators. So, you know, it's that much easier to mix one up with the other. And so with that being said, there's a lot that Bellator is doing right. But Joe Rogan said, I like it. He said, I like that the fighters are having a good time over there. They get paid well. I want it to grow. I want it to be right up there with the UFC. I would love it if it was a full rival like Pride was. And he said, I love Coker. I like what he's been doing. I'm somehow or another supposed to be in competition with Bellator. I say that's horseshit. I'm the one who got Jimmy Smith hired to the UFC. I tried to get him hired years ago. I love the fact that Big John McCarthy is over there now, and Mike Goldberg is too. Mauro Ranallo, I love Mauro. They've got great fighters over there. I love that Roy McDonald's over there. He's the champ. If he's not the best welterweight in the world, it's him and Tyron Woodley. He's most certainly one of the best. Gegard Mousasi, one of the best 185ers in the world, if not the best. They have a legit claim to world-class fighters now in at least 2 weight classes, and that's facts. And that is facts. And they've got some, Bellator's got some fun shit going on at featherweight with the Pitbull brothers and Darion Caldwell. They could be scrapping soon in a champ versus champ ordeal. Lightweight, Brent Primus versus Michael Chandler should be happening soon. I'm legitimately excited for whenever there's a Bellator card coming up, even if it's not the biggest names, like Caldwell versus Noah Lawat. Whenever that fight just happened, I wanted to watch that card. It also had James Gallagher on the card, and you know what I'm saying? But I was like, yo, I would like to see this Bellator card. And it didn't even have no crazy UFC veterans or nothing like that. Like, Bellator is legit already. And as far as a full rival, yeah, they might, I don't know about a full rival, but they're already a rival to the UFC. They're already a rival. I mean, whenever you got world-class fighters going to Bellator, that's a rival. Whenever you are letting guys go that you know the fans would like to see in the UFC, they're already a small rival. Now, a full rival is a different story, but they can for sure become one. So, yeah, man, Bellator. I'm repping Bellator. See, the UFC Yankovic Nightbot works. These other motherfuckers ain't working, so I got to figure that out. Brendan Schaub's Pink Boots in the building. He said, I love what Bellator is doing or can do. That was Weezing 336. Brendan Schaub's Pink Boots says Dana White equals bagel biter. Hey, you might have a point. Here we go. Full Time is a better analyst than Luke Thomas. Chill. No way. Luke Thomas is a professional. Chill, brother. No, I appreciate it, though. Clayton Funky says, who else thinks Roy shouldn't do press? He's that nerdy kid that would always try to show off his karate at recess. I mean, I don't think he shouldn't do press. Maybe get a press coach or something like that. I would advise that before saying don't do press, because press is always going to help you. But I hear where you're coming from, though. Jason KCMO says Jon Jones, Israel Adesanya. Who you got? Jon Jones versus Israel Adesanya. I got Jon Jones if he's Jon Jones. I mean, I think I got Jon Jones. I just don't know if Israel Adesanya has shown me enough to think he could beat, you know what I'm saying, Jon Jones. I'd rather see Israel Adesanya versus Darren Till. So one of my good friends, I don't know if he's a hardcore fan like us, like a lot of us, but he definitely pays attention more than the casuals. Call him a medium core fan. He was like, yo, tell me what you think about this fight. And I was like, all right, fucking shoot. He was like, Tyron Woodley versus Yoel Romero. I was like, that would be actually a fucking good fight. You know what I'm saying? What do y'all think about that fight? 185. Yoel's not the champ. Probably won't happen. But that'd be a good matchup. Tyron Woodley versus Yoel, just a fun one to think about. That'd be a great fight. I've been said Full Time should try out for the MMA beat. I don't think you can just try out. I think you have to have like a degree, be a journalist. You know what I'm saying? You gotta actually have some shit. You know, I don't know if it's that simple, but I appreciate it, you guys. I don't. It's flattering. I don't think I don't think I'm on their level, but I appreciate it. Gordon Fraser says Bellator is coming up in a few years, could pass the UFC, and fighters love to work for Bellator. Do not hear that in the UFC. But yep, fighter morale is up, sponsorship dollars are up. Sage Northcutt's a free agent. He said, hey guys, my friend Sage Northcutt, or my friend Lyoto Machida, and also Rory McDonald, they're making double or triple what they made in the UFC. If you're a big star, if you can be one of those faces of a division or one of the faces of Bellator as of right now, you know, this is like the gold rush. Sage Northcutt, if he was smart, he better split the fuck to Bellator right now. That is perfect for his career. Sage Northcutt would be so much better off in Bellator right now than trying to fucking fight through the shark tanks of the 155 and 170 division, figuring out where he can get a win. But, you know, like, all right, I'm coming back down to 155. We got a good matchup. Even though I won the fight, I'm going back up to 170. I want to fight Ezekiel. Like, there's only so many guys you can throw a Sage in the UFC before it's fucking over. Bellator, on the other hand, fucking marketable. Definitely can be the face of Bellator. They got a lot more fighters that you can put against Sage Northcutt that he's evenly matched with. Also, got a fucking super fight in the wing. Logan Paul. No, I'm just kidding. Michael Venom Page versus Sage Northcutt. Like, Sage Northcutt in the welterweight division at Bellator is lit. And he's going to get great sponsors that he can't get in the UFC. Sage Northcutt could fuck around and make quadruple what he's making in the UFC over in Bellator. He'd be like a fucking white MVP that looks like a Super Saiyan. Come on, what are we talking about? Bellator, you trying to get on some Wheaties boxes? You should be recruiting Sage. And he recently announced he's a free agent. I'm just saying, all the guys that Michael Venom Page has fought, I mean, you can pull up Michael Venom Page's record. All those guys that he's fought so far, line them up for Sage. Michael Venom Page has pretty much beat them all. You know what I'm saying? All the welterweight cans. So now he's in the welterweight Grand Prix, and he's got to fight the best of the best. Now we'll see how he does. But all of those cans that were once crushed by MVP, line them up for Sage. Boom. Crush all them. Great fights. Get to see Sage showcase their skills. Have some fun. We ain't got to worry about him being protected by the UFC, as a lot of people say, because he's in Bellator. And he's getting cash. A lot of it because he's got great sponsors. Bellator for Sage Northcutt. That's all I'm saying. Bellator. I'm repping Bellator. Hey, that's what I'm saying. He's got to, and then, oh, by the way, just like Gordon Frazier said, he's young. He's got a lot of years left. Go to Bellator right now. Sharpen your skills. Crunch those cans. Fight MVP. Contract up. Back to the UFC. See ya. Now I'm ready. Now I'm that much better. 5 more fights. 6 more fights under my belt. I've made a lot of money, and now I'm just ready to be the best in the world, and I'm coming back to the UFC. Come on, what are we waiting on? Devontae Bartholomew says Logan vs. Sage does more pay-per-view than most UFC cards, but it also only costed $10. But yeah, they did great business. They did great business. Reason 3, but you know, I think even though it costed $10, they might have had better ratings than some of the free cards lately. So yeah, for sure, got a great point. PK Boxing and MMA says Super Sage for Bellator. Super Saiyan Sage for Bellator. That's all I'm saying. Be smart. Don't be a R word. You know, yo, this dude pulled out this South Park retard alert thing. It was so fucking funny the other day. Out of nowhere, it was off a South Park episode, Mr. Garrison. But yeah, man, another topic for another day. Weezen336 says, because to me, there's no shame in not fighting in the UFC. Sage will have a better shot at being champ there than the UFC for sure. He's got a better. It's going to be tough to be the champion. I mean, you do got guys at the top of the division that even Michael Venom Page probably can't beat. Rory McDonald. I mean, maybe some of the wrestlers like a Ed Ruth. You know, like there's some great wrestlers that they have. John Fitch would be a tough matchup for you know, like there's some bad matchups, but that's not what I'm focused on. I'm focused on the good matchups first, and then in time, you know, he's a guy that could for sure skip the line and maybe try at Rory. That'd be a tough fight, but he's definitely got a better chance at being a champion in Bellator than the UFC. That's facts. Sage go to Bellator, he will be forgotten. No, he won't, because Bellator's not going to be forgotten. Is Michael Venom Page forgotten? Is Rory McDonald forgotten? Is Gegard Mousasi forgotten? Like, shit, Michael Chandler isn't even forgotten, and he ain't even fighting for the UFC. Like, Bellator's making moves. Like, if this was 5 years ago and Bellator was still the B League, like, all the way, like, completely behind, didn't make these strides, maybe you have a point, because no one paid attention to Bellator. But Bellator's got a lot of names now. They're way farther along. I don't think you're obsolete if you go to Bellator. Cam Murphy said, "Hey, forward Cam Murphy in the building. What's going on, sister?" Weezen336 says he looks like a DBZ character. He's like a real life DBZ character for real. Super Saiyan. Got the spiky hair, the muscles and shit. He's been growing, went from Super Saiyan 1. I think now he's about Super Saiyan 2. Wouldn't be surprised if he grew out his fucking hair super long. Super Saiyan 3 type shit. That's all I'm saying. Jason KCMO said, "I'm talking to UFC fans. I don't keep up with Bellator." I mean, okay. But I believe, and yeah, UFC fans, maybe the casual fan. But I mean, the casual fan already doesn't just hang their head on Sage Northcutt. They'll tune in to watch him fight, but a lot of the casual fans will tune in to watch Rampage versus Vanderlei. Like, there's a Bellator card coming up that I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people tuned into. And yeah, maybe to people that only watch the UFC, if they didn't see the promotion, but all of Sage Northcutt's fans will probably follow him and still watch him, because Bellator, it's not like he's going to the fucking Arizona Fight Club, you know what I'm saying, or something like that. He's going to still a big promotion, and he's still going to be able to. Bellator goes around the world. Like, Bellator is fucking huge. So maybe to the UFC fans that don't know anything about Bellator, maybe, but there's not even that many of those people left. A lot of people know about Bellator, I believe, but real MMA fans will know Sage. And that's another thing. Maybe it's a good thing that he's off the radar for the next few years while he develops, because in the UFC, if you keep him in the UFC, what's it good to see? The fans watch him lose. Eventually, he's going to have to fight a top 15 guy, and that might be bad. So for right now, for a couple of years, a few years, it might be good for him to go to Bellator and then come back to the spotlight. So yeah, man. But yeah, Bellator for sure making moves. Wanted to start the show up talking about Bellator versus UFC, because also the song. Kim Murphy says, I'll only be tuning in because it's free for me. Yeah, it's also free. You know, UFC's charging $65 and shit nowadays, more than ever. And that's in some places. Kabari Hardwell says, Sage should definitely go to Bellator for his best move. The UFC has pimped him for years, and he would make a lot more money over there, honestly. MMA Buds in the building. Sage has almost the biggest pop in Boise. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Sage, he got some fans. And like I said, you have a hardcore UFC fans that only watch the UFC, might not, but the Sage fans are going to watch Sage fight. I think that. But with that being said, MMA Buds also, anybody, if you want to join, I'm going to start doing this. And it's the first day I've announced it, so it might not kick off today. But if you want to, you can. I'm going to start doing a co-host of the day. Anybody that wants to hop on Google Hangout or Skype will just simply go, boom, and you'll be on here, and you can give your thoughts on each of these topics as well for the day. So, and also, by the way, if you weren't here in the beginning of the show, everybody, I've got work early tomorrow, so I'll be live probably extra early and all next week. So it's good. That's a good thing. But yeah, the shows are just going to be early in the daytime. We're going to start trying to switch back to our morning schedule, I think, because that's going to coordinate with my work schedule better. So yeah, full-time MMA in the morning and shit. We'll be live tomorrow morning. But yeah, we still got a lot more to talk about on today's show. You guys see there's only 22 days left until McGregor versus Khabib. And so yeah, man, time is ticking. Tick-tock. It's the 13th. October 6th is only 22 days away. Holy smokes, full-time family. Y'all ain't ready. Y'all ain't ready. Oh, shit, I ain't had my background music on. Now we got it on. Now it's a party, full-time family, for anybody listening on the replay. I know sometimes the background music helps you stay into it. So with that being said, USADA shot down Jon Jones payoff rumors in Jon Jones case recently. I did a separate video on this, just talking about this topic, but pretty much this was comedy to me, because it's like USADA's coming out, and just in case you didn't know, letting you know, like, we don't take bribes, guys, just in case you were wondering. By the way, we saw some recent reports, and if you were wondering, no, we don't take bribes. Like, no, we don't think you do, and if you do, we don't think you would tell us, you know, but this is what USADA said in a written statement. In relation to some media and social media comments we have observed, USADA wishes to clarify that under no circumstances do we receive payments as part of a resolution of cases. So just in case you guys were wondering, we don't take bribes. Like, okay. But with that being said, we're still waiting to hear what the fuck's going on with the Jon Jones case. I mean, back in July, I believe Jon Jones' manager said, I'm very confident we'll have a resolution by the end of the week or the end of the month. And here we are a couple months later, we still ain't heard a fucking peep. And this is one of the biggest stars of the sport. So we're sitting here wondering, is he going to be cleared? Is he going to be suspended for 2 years? Not is he going to be cleared, because he was already found guilty in that case pretty much. But how long is he going to be suspended? It seems like it's supposed to be 2 years or 4 years, unless the UFC and USADA are able to work out some sort of deal. And maybe this is letting you know, hey, we're not working out a deal, because there's nothing you can do to change the case. You can't pay us off, so there's no deal that can be worked out. So what you should be expecting, you need to use the bathroom? I'm on live right now.
Excuse me.
What's up? Alright, you gotta go downstairs, bud.
Did you used to bite your toenails
Alright,
when
no,
you was a kid?
No. I'll talk to you later about it.
Did you now?
Alright, bye. No, I don't know. Alright, bye, Mike. You gotta go downstairs. Go downstairs. I'm live. Alright, go downstairs. Go to Grandma. My nephew coming up here asking me if I used to bite my toenails when I was a kid. Not right now, Mikey. But yeah, Jon Jones, one of the biggest stars in the UFC. We want to know, is he coming back? Can he headline Madison Square Garden? But what I think this might mean right here is letting us know he's going to be out 2 to 4 years. Now, I want to know the exact date. When did this start? When did the timer start? Because, shit, we're coming up on 2 years, it seems. What would it be, UFC 214? Let's see when UFC 214 was, actually. That wasn't, we ain't coming up on no damn 2 years since UFC 214. Maybe we are. Shit, it's been a while. UFC 214, let me look that up. UFC 214. He said, did you used to bite your toenails whenever you were a kid? Like, I told him I'm live. I'm like, what's up? Like, do you need to use the bathroom? Is it an emergency? No. Did you use... No, motherfucker's crazy. But he would love to get on here and give you guys a prediction. He loves YouTube so much, man. He would love to hop on here, say hi to the family, tell you guys he's going to have a part-time MMA channel soon, and tell you to hashtag it. And he wants to know how many hashtags he gets. That kid fucking loves YouTube. Every day he's like, so how far away are you from a silver play button? I'm like, you don't get it to 100,000 subscribers, so we need about 93,000. He's like, so about how long? I don't know, dude. It's gonna be a while. But he loves this shit. But yeah, man. UFC 2, it was July 29th. So if that was the case, then Jon Jones would be able to return July 29th or a little after of 2019. And that sounds about right. I mean, if he doesn't come back, and that would be a good timeline to fight DC after Brock, but that would, of course, push DC's retirement back a couple of months. Because Brock Lesnar is not going to be eligible until January. And so if DC fights Brock in January or February, then Jon Jones is eligible in May or in July. You could possibly fight Jon Jones in July. That's a possibility. But we've all been hoping that we get some news that Jon Jones is going to be back sooner rather than later, so he could potentially headline UFC 230, Madison Square Garden, which we still don't have a headliner for. Now, there's potential fights. It's crazy we don't have a fucking headliner for that, dog. You're like, yo, what? We got a headliner for 232, 229, and I'm over here wondering what the fuck is going to be the headliner. You got Nate Diaz and Dustin Poirier of the co-main event, so it's got to be a big fight. It can't just be, you know what I'm saying, Valentina Shevchenko versus, and she's got a big name, but I'm talking about like versus like Caitlin Chukagi, and it's got to be a big fight over Nate Diaz. Valentina versus Joanna might work, maybe. Cejudo versus Dillashaw, champ versus champ, maybe. Other than that, you're thinking Jon Jones, DC. At some point, Jon Jones has to headline Madison Square Garden. From New York, one of the GOATs, UFC's in the house. Jon Jones got to be at Madison Square Garden at some point. This would be a great year. Great time to fight DC at Madison Square Garden. But the thing is, you know what I'm saying? It ain't working. MMA Buds looks like he's going to hop on, which would be dope. MMA Bud says, full-time, call me up on Skype. Dan from Oregon. Okay, let me pull up my old-ass Skype, because that's the one that works in my, that's the one that works for OBS, for these live streams. Let me get that up. Hell yeah, we'll have Dan from Oregon on the in the building to give his thoughts. He'll be our daily co-host. First time we're starting this off. Anybody that wants to hop on, first one on, man, we'll talk some MMA. All right, so let me search Skype. Dan. All right, is there any spaces and shit? Let me pull that up for family. All right. All right, yeah, Dan space from or. All right. Searching. Unable to load directory. Well, yeah, I'm not trying to search my directory. Come on, Skype. All right, let me put something on in the meantime, in between time. In the meantime, in between time. Y'all ready for? We're gonna play McGregor versus Khabib full-time family while we bring on our co-host Dan from Oregon, aka MMA Buds. Let's run this real quick while I find him.
They call me Conor McGregor, there's no one better. I'm a fuck Khabib up, then go rematch for money, Mayweather. If this dog shit dagger stand, he thinks he can stand with me, I'll damage him and leave him panicking. Let Russia know I am the king, I don't like you, won't even pretend to try to. I've waited this long to fight you, you shouldn't have fucked with my
I'm not fighting you, Dan.
You ambush Artem Lobov in the hotel lobby, so we went and called gang. Now I'm coked up off of Molly, now I'm coming to the stage. So I think that you should probably stay the fuck up out my way. Somebody get me a dolly.
Well, I think I know what's going on. Searching my contacts.
Yo, Conor McGregor, what the fuck is wrong with you? Come here, let me smash you like chicken, just let me humble you. You take all these drugs, but you won't take home a W. If we fight in UFC or if we fight with guns and Cruz. No, let me stop it, you don't want me to take it there. If you want, you can take a bear, send location, and I'll be there.
All right, full-time family, all that time, and I think for some reason it's only searching my contacts, and you're not already a contact, so I'm not exactly sure why it's not letting me just search Skype and find you. But it's on some BS. You got Google Hangouts, Dan? Or can you add me on Skype by chance? My Skype is just full-time MMA, so. But yeah, for some reason it's only letting me search. Let me try and maximize this shit real quick. I don't want Skype mobile. Alright. Settings. That's not gonna find it. Yeah, Dan, let me check the chat out, see, because yeah, for some reason it's only searching my contacts, and that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to search Skype. Unable to load directory results. That's unfortunate. Yeah, I'll have to figure this out. So if you have Google Hangout, that'll work, or maybe if you can add me on Skype, we can get that figured out. But right now, it's awesome baby back bagel biting bullshit. Promo said they want to start a promo war. Oh yeah, by the way, let's see what our next topic is going to be. Mark Hunt ripping Fabricio Werdum. Yo, do they got a history? We got to talk about Mark Hunt versus Fabricio, because of course Mark Hunt's got a fight coming up this week. The rest have been pretty underwhelming, says Forward. They want to start a war promo was pretty dope. Yeah, they've been dropping quite a few promos. And then, of course, we got the first McGregor vs. Khabib press conference coming up in 7 days on the 20th. It's on the 20th, right? So, oh, I got fucking work. I got to call in that day or something, full-time family. I don't know. I wanted to do a fight companion and stuff, but I have work that day now. So I might have to work that day. We'll see what happens. But let's see. Meanwhile, in the back, giving motivation speeches. Yeah, Dan, MMA Buds, if you're listening, try and add me on Skype, because for some stupid reason, it's only letting me search my directory. Let me pull up the new Skype. I had to download the old Skype. Let me try the new Skype. Maybe this will work. Pulling it up now. Let me close out the old Skype. Alright, what's going on, full-time family? So yeah, let me scroll down and see what Mark Hunt's got to talk about. I'll just set this up. So, lot to unpack here as far as Mark Hunt and Fabricio Werdum. Of course, they have fought once in a fight that Fabricio won the first time. Now, so Fabricio is one up on Mark Hunt. Keep that in mind. But Mark Hunt, he's notoriously against, you know, PED users. That's also something you want to know for this. Mark Hunt, a lot of people already know that. You know, Mark Hunt against Brock Lesnar, the whole lawsuit. He's just, you know, not a guy. He calls out guys that are on steroids. There we go. I think we got Dan from Oregon. Sent you a contact request. Now we are in the building. Now I got to pull up old Skype after I accept this contact request. And we'll have Dan from Oregon on. But, so Mark Hunt and Fabricio, they fought once. Fabricio's won. Mark Hunt doesn't like people that are on steroids. And Fabricio had never failed a drug test before this. But recently he did. Now, also, another backstory here. Mark Hunt has been wanting a rematch with Fabricio, and there was a point where Mark Hunt was either fighting in, was it Sydney? There was one card, and then there was an Auckland card. There was a couple cards in New Zealand or Australia, and Mark Hunt wanting to get higher up the rankings. He added context. There we go. So Mark Hunt was trying to get higher up in the rankings. That was the fight he was looking at. I'll take the rematch with Werdum. Let's do it. I'm ready. But at the time, Fabricio Werdum said, no, I'm not trying to come to Australia. The taxes were too high. I'm good. If you want to fight me over here in America, let's do it, or whatever, or wherever. But he didn't want to travel over to fight Mark Hunt. So Mark Hunt ended up fighting someone else. Well, Mark Hunt fell out of his fight, and Fabricio Werdum ended up actually traveling over to Australia, where he said he didn't want to fight Mark Hunt, and taking Mark Hunt's fight. So not only did he do what he said he didn't want to do, but it was on short notice. He went over to Australia to fight, but also he took Mark Hunt's fight specifically. Now, this shit has came full circle because Fabricio Werdum was supposed to be fighting Aleksei Oleinik in the main event of UFC Moscow. And Fabricio Werdum fails a drug test and gets replaced by none other than Mark Hunt. And so, of course, leading up to the fight, they're asking Mark Hunt about Fabricio. What do you think about him? For one, failing the drug test because this was supposed to be his fight, and he's got a lot to say. I mean, if you listen to the UFC Unfiltered podcast, I believe he went in on him and also in other interviews because he failed a drug test recently, and Mark Hunt doesn't like that shit. So this is what Mark Hunt recently had to say. He said, and I'll get Dan from Oregon in here right after I read this. He said, "I'm glad that Fabricio Werdum got caught, that little expletive. Go back to the favelas. Fuck you, you little expletive. Good job. He was supposed to be here. But that's what you get for being weak. That's what you get. Fabricio for being a weak-minded person. See you later. Just you know, fed up with him. You know, just done with him. That's what you get, motherfucker." He said, "I had to lose 21 kilograms in 3.5 weeks to make that title fight. I got kneed in the head by that little cheater. Then he beats Kane in Mexico. That really upsets me about the guy. Then he wouldn't fight me. He's just cheating little shit, man. He's a little dog, that guy. See you later, Fabricio. Enjoy." It's hard to read a fucking Mark Hunt statement with just the word expletive. We need to see like SH-T, like at least let us know which ones he's using. You can't just fill those in. It almost changes the whole story if you're left to guess what the expletive is. But that's why Mark Hunt wanted the rematch as well. He took the fight on short notice against Werdum. He got kneed in the head, so he feels like he could win the rematch. And Fabricio didn't want to take the rematch in Australia, and then lo and fucking behold, he comes over to Australia to take my fight, and now the motherfucker fails a drug test, and I'm in his fight. So shoes are on the other foot, and Mark Hunt's the one with this main event opportunity in place of Fabricio, and Fabricio now has a 2-year suspension. So, with that being said, another thing, Mark Hunt, he's still in a little bit of a quiet lawsuit with the UFC. It's not, we don't know all the details, of course, because it's a lawsuit, but it's still going on to my knowledge, you know, and that stems from the Brock Lesnar fight at UFC 200, where Brock Lesnar failed the drug test after the fight. So Mark Hunt, notoriously anti-steroids, anti-cheaters, and so now kind of gets the last laugh in this situation with Fabricio Werdum, it looks like. So with that being said, let me try and get Dan from Oregon in here now. I gotta pull up old Skype because new Skype isn't compatible with our live stream. So now let me find old Skype, which should be this Skype, and see if this works. Alright, full-time family. We're gonna be pulling MMA Buds in here in just a second. If I can put this Skype in this window. Yes, sir. It looks like it should work. Alright, we might be on the wrong Skype, full-time family. This is a work in progress. This is our first one. We have had someone in here on Skype before. That's actually how we did our Sean O'Malley interview. But working with Skype is a little more difficult than working with Google Hangouts because it's not compatible with our live stream, so they make you download the old Skype to make it work, and so I gotta make sure. There we go. I think I'm on the old Skype now. You gotta download the old Skype to make it work. Alright, Dan from Oregon just added me, so he should be on my list. Dan. Mother. Alright, family. I don't know why now it's not showing Dan on my Skype that I need to be on. But yeah, Dan, if you got Google Hangouts, it's not like you have to download anything. If you do, that would be awesome. It would make this so much easier. Google Hangouts is just compatible. Boom, boom. And for some reason, it's not pulling you up on my contact list, and I just accepted you. So I'm going to continue to keep working on that as we move through the show, and I'll definitely keep trying to get you in here. But Skype is giving me fits right now. So Google Hangouts for the win. If you, just in case you were wondering, I'm still trying to figure this out. Find you. It showed me your contact request. I accepted it, and now Skype is BSing, man. It's not pulling you up at all on my contacts. It's not letting me search outside of Skype for new contacts to pull you up. Some baby back bagel biting bullshit on Skype's part. So yeah, we'll keep trying to get that figured out throughout the show. Maybe something will change, but until then, we're going back to solo mode until I get that figured out. My bad, dog. I extended the offer and now I can't get it figured out. But yeah, I gotta work out the kinks. I'm gonna keep trying to get you in and see if you pop up on my Skype. But for right now, we are on. It's not coming up. So we're gonna start getting us a daily co-host in here. Hopefully it'll be today. Hopefully I can get that fixed. But right now it's just not working on the Skype. Let me pull up the chat, see what everybody's talking about. Dan got deleted, bro. I got Hangouts. Okay, if you got Hangouts, that's 20 times easier. That would be awesome. Let me pull up a Google Hangout. Google Hangout. Alright, so now, see, I'm already in a Hangout. Boom. Boom. Don't got to deal with this Skype. Let me close this Skype. Alright, so we got the Google Hangout. Let me copy the link. What's your email so nobody else hops in, just so it's just one person so I can send it to your email. If you put your email in either the chat or send it to my email, I'll send you this link, this magic link, so you can hop on this Google Hangout. Let me check the chat, see if your email is in here. Boom. Alright, here's the chat. Cam Murphy says, oh, of course, I think just at the moment he has the right to complain, but yeah, not for too long. BuzzFeed says, what's up, full-time family? Late, but we looking here. Oh, yeah, we still got plenty of show left, too, good sir. Cadbury Hardwell, hoping to get us a co-host in here. If I can get Dan from Oregon's email, I'll send him this link. Oh, wait, can you still send messages on YouTube like you used to be able to? Like, they had instant messaging on YouTube for a while. Let me see if I can, like, send you a message. That'd be funny. If I still could. I think they're taking it away, though, because not enough people were using it. But yeah, YouTube was trying to add, like, some instant messaging. Alright, yeah, so, once you send me your email, I'll send you this link. Dan from Oregon. My email is fulltimemma1@gmail.com. So, if you send me an email or put your email in this chat, I'll send you this link to the Google Hangout, and we'll be in there like swimwear. But, speaking of Mark Hunt, he's going to be taking on Aleksei Oleinik in this main event. And he said Aleksei Oleinik is a dangerous submission artist. Aleksei Oleinik has 44 wins by submission, 66 wins overall. 11 of those wins are all by Ezekiel choke. And so he's very talented on the ground. He's actually 2 years younger than Mark Hunt with like 3 times the fights, which is very surprising. I mean, we didn't see a lot of his early career, but goddamn, he's got like 56 wins and like 11 losses. He's got a lot of pro fights, dog. He's got a lot of pro fights, so he's definitely dangerous. And what's crazy, I don't know if it's crazy or not, but Aleksei Oleinik is an underdog in this fight, like a 2-1 underdog. And if this fight goes to the floor, he's definitely going to have the better jiu-jitsu. It's going to be hard to get Mark Hunt down. And also another problem he might have is Mark Hunt's big and fat neck will make the Ezekiel choke almost impossible. And he's an Ezekiel choke master, so you can imagine he knows what he's talking about. Like, he's tried to put somebody with the fat, short neck in an Ezekiel choke, and he can't get it off. You ain't got the neck for it. So that's going to take away one of his most dangerous techniques, actually, if that's the case. But he's only got 11 of his 44 wins by Ezekiel choke, so he'll still find another way to submit you. He's still dangerous. But his favorite move might be taken away from him for this fight. Wanted to, you know, that's just a thought. All right, is that a Google Hangout? Did I just get a Skype or something? There we go. Que pasa, amigo? There's MMA Buds. I sent him the call. I sent him the chat. Hopefully he will be on really soon rather than later. I think he'll be on any minute. Now let me get back to the co-host screen and make sure we are in the building when Dan gets here. All right. Where you at, Google Hangout? Boom. Nope, that's not the one.
What's up, full time?
What's going on, Dan? Or MMA Buds, I should say. All right, let me make sure I got the right. There it is, right? There he is. There he is. The beautiful MMA Buds. What is going on? Good sir. We got our daily co-host, MMA Buds, in the building. What's going on? Good sir. Not much.
I'll have to get you pulled up here on my phone so I
All
can see
right.
something.
All right, and so just real quick before we even move on, I'll ask you your thoughts on what we've talked about so far. First being UFC versus Bellator, second being USADA shooting down the payoff rumors, and third Mark Hunt versus Aleksei Oleinik.
Well, let's start at the bottom. Mark Hunt, Aleksei Oleinik. I'm all for this, man. He was what? Him and Oleinik, I saw a picture of it, and they're hugging at the weigh-in and shit. But there's no way this fight goes 5 rounds. I'm seeing a finish, a quick finish, most likely, in that one. And then what else were we talking about?
USADA shooting down the Jon Jones payoff rumors. Like, hey, everybody, just in case you're wondering, we don't take bribes.
That would seem relevant if you were about to announce like a Jon Jones fight coming up soon or something. So I don't know what we should take from that. I didn't listen to the broadcast, but I see talk of maybe it got leaked that Jones is going to be on that next card coming up soon.
Madison
I
Square
didn't
Garden.
hear. Yeah, I didn't hear what happened, but that's what the rumors on the Twitter sphere.
Yeah, I saw some of the rumors, and I saw one of them. They were quoting like Colby Covington on Chael Sonnen's podcast, where he was saying that he thinks, and that's also the USADA thing. They were quoting it as well. They were saying that he believes that the UFC or someone's going to pay off USADA to where Jon Jones can fight because they need to pay off their loan. So he introduced the idea. Yeah, I'm sure Jon Jones will be back. They're probably corrupt, but I haven't seen anything official. But yeah, there's been a lot of signs pointing to that because Jon Jones has been training, looking like a heavyweight. Doing media. He was recently in Russia doing media, and so he's been doing media, training. Madison Square Garden needs a headliner. I mean, but we still haven't heard anything from USADA as far as what's really going on. Is it 2 years? Is it 1 year somehow? Like, so that's kind of crazy. We still don't have that result.
Yeah, it's weird, man. Everything you hear, if you listen to Luke Thomas's show, they're a little hush-hush about it. Like, they're in the media. Maybe they know something in the know. I have no idea. But John, what is up with John? Ariel just asked the other day. He said, we just found out what happened to this guy. It's been a couple of weeks or a couple of months. Jon Jones, it's been over a year. We have found out nothing. So he's freaking out. I think everyone's right. We're more than welcome to ask that question. What the hell is going on with John? Yeah. And the UFC, they need money. They need stars. If they're going to pull some shady shit, I see it. I've always thought that USADA was shady because every guy who pops for weed, they always get their full suspension. There's no leniency. But a guy pops for steroids and, oh, it was this, it was that.
Contaminated lab.
Yeah,
and that's another. I don't know about USADA either. I mean, just from what you said, and on top of that, like, so if you're telling me that he's innocent, well, then you just took away a fight from him and made everybody think he was on steroids, and now you're like, oh no, he's good. Well, how do you repair that damage? Like, you took away Junior Dos Santos' Francis Ngannou fight when he was still the hype, all the hype that he lost that fight. If he would have won, who knows what happens for JDS there, and then comes out he's innocent. It's happened so many times now where people pop and looks like they're on steroids, actually they're innocent. And Anderson Silva, another guy whose legacy, he has a legacy actually that was tarnished as well. And so, yeah, the USADA, interesting what's going on there. And one thing I also wanted to interject and say was, like, they came out and said, oh, by the way, everybody, we're not taking bribes. Well, why did you just tack on the end of it, this is what's going on with Jon Jones? Like, just tell us what's going on with that as well if we're going to put out a statement on Jon Jones or telling us we're not taking payoffs. Well, I would like to know what's going on. And I think a lot of fans would. It's not just, me or you. So interesting situation there. And then, of course, the other topic was UFC versus Bellator. Do you think, and if so, how long until Bellator can become a full rival for the UFC?
The crazy part about that is, like, it takes until the fan and the media believes it. And then once they believe it, they'll convince everybody else. And I don't know. This tournament is really exciting coming up soon. Rory's going to face Gegard. That's a super fight. Those two guys could still legitimately be in the UFC. Woodley has lost to Rory McDonald. Gegard Mousasi was on a massive win streak. So that's a super fight where they could really come up and maybe produce something good. But their ratings have been just as bad as the UFC's lately. They're pulling in less than 500K. UFC just hit 500K. It's like a dismal time since Conor's been gone for 2 years. No, the UFC didn't jump on any big fighter, and the Bellator just hasn't been able to capitalize. So I don't know, man. It's crazy. Who will do what? I heard that they're paying Machida stupid money.
And
And
McDonald,
so
Rory.
Eddie Alvarez, I don't know what's going to happen to him. It was kind of weird that Chandler started calling him out right quick. So maybe there's something going on there that we don't know about. They're making moves. It's the UFC has had nothing going on because Conor's been gone. They've kind of moved up a little bit, but not much at all. Not much at all.
And to your point, when you said Mousasi and McDonald could be fighting in the UFC, shoot, I would think actually there's a couple welterweights and a couple middleweights. Rafael Carvalho, I mean, the Paul Daly's of the world. I mean, there's just a few guys at the top of the division that could fight in the UFC, but the guys you mentioned specifically, McDonald and Mousasi, they could be UFC champions, arguably. I mean, Roy's got the win over Tyron and Gegard versus Whitaker. You can't just say, oh, Whitaker smokes Gegard. That's not wise. So they could legitimately challenge for UFC titles at this point.
Oh, yeah, and that welterweight tournament just by itself, you got your Bellator guys that the UFC people don't know about, but then you got the Gracie and the Ed Ruth up in that bracket. That's going to get exciting. They're not throwing John Fitch, the wrestler, at anybody, but he's going to get potentially on if Rory can get that skin, that's a good skin to have. John Fitch, who's all-time great welterweight. And so I love the bracket over in the welterweight tournament, or Grand Prix as they call it, because on one side it's grapplers and the other side it's strikers. And that's what the UFC is lacking, is something for me to get excited about, and that's where Bellator is stepping in. So in terms of like, can they compete one-on-one? No, but if Bellator can take all the great ideas that are just floating out there in the ether, and the UFC is not going to do them, they could do them. They're making moves, man. Look, hashtag Bellator Hawaii. There's an example right there.
Yes, sir. All right, well, we can move on from that topic. There was one other thing I was going to touch on with that, but, I mean, I think we've covered enough. So it's another topic for another day. But the next thing to discuss is this recently came out on Combate. This is actually breaking right before the stream. And actually it's been refuted, but this has happened before where news gets out and the manager will come out and say, whoa, 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 that's news to me. But Combate has reported that the UFC is targeting Rafael Dos Anjos versus Kamaru Usman as the tough finale main event. And now already on that card is the UFC debut of Antonina Shevchenko. So that's going to be a fun card. And I actually do believe this fight will take place, even though I'll pull up on the screen now. Ali Abdelaziz replied to this and said, "This is news to me, my man," and he's Kamaru's manager. So, but this has happened before. There was a MMA Twitter handle, and their name was like MMA Team Dagestan, and they announced like McGregor versus Khabib hella early, and they came out and said, no, that's not true. You know, they kind of shut it down sometimes because it's not supposed to be out there yet. But I do think there's some truth to this. Combate, they're very reputable. They're kind of like the MMA fighting of South America. Like, they put out shit that's official. They double check and triple check. And so they're saying they have it from both sides. They have confirmation that it's been agreed upon. And one thing about this fight that I thought of is, boy, Kamaru Usman is on Colby Covington's heels. He fought Damian Maia right after Colby. If this fight happens, he'll be fighting RDA right after Colby. And, of course, that's going to give Colby some shit talk. Oh, you're beating the people that I already beat. But still, he's on his heels. I'm beating everybody that you beat. So one of these days, I think we're going to see Colby Covington and Kamaru Usman squaring off. And I think this is just another mutual opponent they have. And Kamaru Usman is nipping at the buds. He recently just made weight at UFC 228 just in case he needed to fight. And so he's healthy to fight. He was ready to fight then. And so, I'm not surprised he's going to have a booking sooner rather than later, because it's like we know he's healthy enough to fight. He was going to step in at UFC 228. So since that didn't happen, all right, he's going to be probably fighting another top fight. So what do you think about a potential Dos Anjos versus Usman fight?
I like it. I thought that RDA was going to fight Ponzinibbio down in Argentina, and that never happened. Neil Magny got that fight. So RDA is going to take on Usman. RDA needs a fight right now. That makes sense. Usman, he got paid a little bit, but he didn't get a W on his record, so that makes sense too. But talk about sloppy seconds, man.
Sloppy
with coming on
seconds.
Colby.
For sure.
Colby's got ammo already just because what freaking Woodley couldn't do, what Usman couldn't do to what's his name? Maya.
I was going to say Damian Maia.
Colby left him in a pool of blood. Yeah, Colby got beat up with some striking kind of by a little bit, but Usman didn't even show none of that. He just
did Usman finish Maia? If I'm not mistaken, he got the finish, right?
Oh, maybe he did.
I think Colby might have did more damage, but I think Usman's the only one that actually got the finish over Maia. I think Colby and Woodley took him to a decision, and Usman got like a fourth round finish. But yeah, Colby definitely did more, damage. He had him bleeding, and but Maia was, I think, a little more willing to stand up with Colby, maybe because there was some boxing in that fight. Kamaru Usman versus. Let me just pull up Kamaru Usman UFC or Damian Maia UFC.
Division, though, that fight makes sense to happen right now. RDA, get him a fight. Usman, get him a fight.
Yeah, it was a decision. Yeah, so Kamaru Usman, it was a decision as well. So it was dominant, but I mean, it was a decision. So, but yeah, man, I agree that fight makes sense. It makes a lot of sense right now. Both top contenders. Now, for RDA, it's a tough fight. But, I mean, if you're trying to get back on track, there ain't many easy fights in the top 5 of the welterweight division. So I'll ask you this, because I believe Kamaru Usman will be the favorite, could potentially win. If RDA were to lose this fight, what do you think would be next? Do you think that he would be better suited back at lightweight, or just like a journeyman welterweight, or Bellator? What do you think would be best for RDA? Because this is a tough fight. He could very well lose it. And he would be on, I'm going to pull up his resume. If he lost this fight, RDA, he would be on maybe like, 3 and definitely lost 2 of his last 3 fights with Covington, and if he lost this one. But, yeah, he would be on a little bit of a losing streak at welterweight, and I would wonder, because I don't think RDA's got a great matchup to get to the welterweight title. Between a rematch with Covington and if he loses to Usman, a rematch with Usman, it's going to be kind of hard for RDA up here. Looks like we got a super chat I'm going to check out. But let me pull up RDA's UFC record.
RDA, I don't know what would happen if he lost, honestly. That's a definite tough spot to be in. Who knows who would be sitting on the horizons for him? Or would they keep throwing top prospects at him like Usman, or would they get some kind of legend fights going for him? Because, just like you said, Bellator, they've got those legend fights that they'd love to give you.
Maybe like more of like a cowboy, or you know what I'm saying? But shoot, even if he has to fight like a Ponzinibbio or maybe like a Neil Magny, but yeah, there might be some winnable fights for him. But as far as getting back to the title at welterweight, that would be tough if he lost this fight. But salute to PK Boxing and MMA for the $1.99 super chat. He said, later full-time, peace to the chat. Salute, brother. Thanks for stopping in today, and thanks again for that $1.99. Cadbury Hardwell says, Woodley is fighting afraid right now. It's hard to beat a bad, scared mofo. Cadbury Hardwell said, respect PK as well as forward. Cam Murphy says Bellator. So, I mean, yeah, that would be another guy that I'm sure Bellator would love to have, especially in that, well, maybe if they could have him at lightweight, even at welterweight. Bellator's got some nasty welterweights already. And between Michael Chandler, they got a good, solid lightweight, but I would like to see Bellator actually start building up their lightweight roster soon. But I wonder if RDA would even be interested in returning to that division. He might not be, so maybe Bellator, maybe welterweight journeyman, who knows? But looking like we might be seeing Usman versus RDA at the TUF 28 finale headliner. Now keep in mind, his manager, Kamaru Usman, did say this is news to him, so he's not ready to announce this fight. But it's reported by a pretty reputable source, so we'll see what comes to that, and it does make sense. Moving on, Darren Till's nutritionist says he can make 170 with ease for years to come. That might surprise some people. One of the biggest welterweights for sure. Missed weight in the past, so he got a lot of criticism leading up to his Tyron Woodley fight, but he made weight for Tyron Woodley, and so a lot of people kind of let it go, because the only reason they were giving him a lot of shit is because he missed weight and got a title fight If he just missed weight, people would have probably put it behind him. But since he was getting a title fight, it magnified it. But he made weight. So since he made weight, his nutritionist is saying he can continue to make this weight with ease. So maybe instead of Darren Till moving up to middleweight after a fight or two, he can remain here at welterweight and potentially come back for that 170 title, which I kind of like that. I do want to see Darren Till remain at welterweight at least until he can get the strap, because I believe he can. But the problem was, could he do it with the weight cut? And so his nutritionist is saying he can. So if that is the case, if they believe he can make 170, I would like to see that, because I could see a rematch with Woodley in a year or two. I could see anything happening in the welterweight division. Darren Till winning one more fight and being right back in there. He's a guy that clearly has a little bit of a push behind him, got a lot of fans, a lot of marketing potential. I mean, he's a potential cash cow, even with the one loss on his record. So I don't think he would have to go through the grinder of fighting 4 guys to get back to the title or something like a Jessica Andrade. But, you know, after losing the title, one more fight, he's right back in there. So I think I would like to see Till at 170 until he challenges for the belt one more time, but I definitely still think middleweight is in his future, but maybe not as soon as we expected. What do you think about Darren Till's nutritionist saying that he can make this weight cut for years to come?
I think that's a terrible idea. I think his nutritionist is out of his mind. I think it didn't go according to plan. He was supposed to get this belt, and then within like one fight, move on to middleweight. They didn't get the belt, and so you know Darren's going to be like, nah, I got to get that before I move on. But this is not healthy for him, man. What I like to relate this fight to, if people can remember back, Johnny Hendricks was having some terrible weight cuts at 170. And I believe it was right before the Wonder Boy fight. He came in and had like some, what do you want to call it? An extreme bodybuilding weightlifter managed his weight cut, and he cut weight all week long, which is what Darren did. He prolonged his weight cut really bad. And I like to go to people that wrestle because I don't wrestle. Chael Sonnen said it was terrible for him to be prolonging this weight cut like this. And what we saw when Johnny Hendricks fought Wonderboy was he got crushed. Wonderboy took him out in less than a round. And that's the same thing that we saw with Darren Till versus Woodley. Maybe Woodley would have done that no matter what, but I think what Till's doing getting down to this weight class is not good. The dude's like 6'3". Go move up to middleweight and take on a top 10 guy or 15 just to make a showcase.
Israel Adesanya versus Till. One day.
Yeah, give him a showcase fight real quick, and then boom, then we can start thinking about Adesanya and all those crazy matchups.
And I hear where you're coming from, and I would actually be on board with everything you're saying if this was like Darren Till, like, yeah, man, I'm going to stay here for years to come, because like you said, you know, I could see him being like, fuck, I lost. I got to get the strap before I go up. But just because this is his nutritionist saying it, I'm like, maybe, you know, they see something, or maybe there's some things they think they could tweak to make the weight cut go even better. But yeah, no, like you said, man, he's cutting a lot of weight, and in the day and age we're in, where we're talking about adding new weight classes and trying to get people fighting at their natural weight class, he's definitely not doing that. So he definitely could be fighting at 185. I don't see any reason not to, unless, you know, a lot of people like that weight advantage. But there's a lot of good fights for him at 185. But you probably can't be the champ as, you know, like as quick, because you'd have to be a legit middleweight, be able to get to the title, and then fuck around and go up to 205. Might be looking at it as I gotta get the 170 belt, and then I can go up to 185 and worry about a second belt. But I agree. But moving on to the next subject. Actually, this is the new segment. I don't know if you have the stream pulled up. This is going to be a quick, maybe 30-second interlude, 1 minute. This is the Simp segment. Simping ain't easy. We got the music in the background. I can't hear it because the people on YouTube can hear the music right now. We got some spicy music. And I made a special Instagram devoted just to this segment. I made the whole layout. And yeah, man, simping ain't easy. This is for the casual fans, the new fans, and all the simps out there that we know are amongst the MMA community. I mean, you have a YouTube channel as well, MMA Buds, where we do a lot of fight companions. And make sure you subscribe if you haven't to MMA Buds. But you know, if like I know, if you look at your analytics, 90%, 92% of your fans are males. So there's definitely some simps out there. You don't got to admit it. But with that being said, look at this motherfucking picture, dog. this is just a great photo op for a woman, like for like a photo shoot for all the simps out there. But because you got Michelle Waterson like bent over the pool, and the pool behind her, like my mind went crazy. I was like, oh, the motherfucking water splash. Oh shit. What a picture for the motherfucking simps out there. But yeah, man.
The karate hottie looking good, man. My only question to you is, would the UFC create a whole new division just to try to make her champion? Because she's a
Like
105 pounder, man. Yeah, she's a 105er. She's an atom weight.
I don't know if they would for her at this point, and just because I think she's not as young as somebody you might want to build a division around. But boy, I mean, she's got the looks for it. Maybe they can while she's still around. I mean, there's some atom weights out there for sure. I think there's more atom weights out there probably than women's featherweights. There's a lot of girls at the 115-pound division in the UFC that you could say could fight at 105. So, I mean, I'm sure the UFC would like to have a belt on her shoulder, and that might be the way to do it. But I don't know if they would, but I wouldn't mind it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. She's going to be fighting Felice Herrig coming up at UFC 229 on the same card as McGregor versus Khabib. That's going to be a fun fight. And it's funny because she posted this picture at the pool, and she was like, today got me wishing I was at the pool. So it lets you know it's like from a photo shoot. It's like not right then, you know, but either way, great picture. See what else we got. And I don't even know what's going to come up. You might see one of these ladies with their kids. I'm just followed them all on social media. And so, you know, just a little simp break, just a quick simp break, 60 seconds. We might have been here long enough. We'll be out of here. But look, take a look at the bullet, the future flyweight queen, Valentina Shevchenko. She ain't fucking around. Looking amazing on Instagram, reposting shit. We got Valentina possibly fighting Joanna at the end of the year. Her sister Antonina now in the UFC. She's making her debut at Tough 28 finale. She's gonna be taking on not Amanda Bobby Cooper, but somebody else. Either way, we're watching for Antonina. It is what it is. I mean, it's the sister of Valentina Shevchenko, and she's going to be coming over here to fuck shit up as well. So we got some good WMMA fights coming up, and now it's back. Simping ain't easy, full-time family. What's going on? We're back. So, yeah. How'd you guys enjoy the simp segment? I had to even take there's no chat box on that side, because who knows what the chat's talking about during the simp segment. So, but yeah, man. We do have more stuff to talk about. The TJ Dillashaw saying that the UFC has kind of been hinting at that Cejudo fight, but actually, if you listen to the Chael Sonnen YouTube channel like I do, and I'm sure you do as well, Dan, he kind of came out and co-signed Dominick Cruz's teammate and said, you know, it's hard to keep a secret in the business, and so if Dominick Cruz's teammate came out and said the fight's done, it's probably done. But yeah, he might have liked to keep that a secret a little longer, so that gave more credence to me, because Chael Sonnen usually knows his shit, like. You know what I'm saying? He might bullshit sometimes, people think, but as far as scoops, he knows. Whenever Mayweather McGregor was official, he knew before a lot of us, like a lot of this stuff, he knows. So the fact that he kind of co-signed Dominick Cruz's teammate, and somebody speculated maybe Dominick Cruz's teammate was just trying to build hype for the fight. And I said, I don't know if that's the case, because he didn't come out and say, who wants to see Cruz versus TJ next? He said, Cruz versus Dillashaw, coming soon, December. Like, just very cryptic, but it didn't sound like he was trying to build hype. It sounded like he was hinting at something. And Chael Sonnen kind of co-signed that. But then you got TJ Dillashaw and Henry Cejudo on TMZ and Extra TV facing off like they could be fighting. So who's next for TJ? Not 100% sure. Shoot, even at the end of the show, we're going to talk about Uriah Faber's talking about a potential comeback. Now that Cody's out of the door, Uriah could fight TJ. But as far as what's next, if it's at bantamweight, for sure Dominick Cruz. But there's a champ versus champ fight that could potentially happen first. But I don't know if that's going to happen, even though we've seen him square off a couple of times now. What do you think about that?
Man, I tend to listen to Chael a lot, because he really knows what the hell he's talking about. And he says when two fighters say they're going to fight each other, that's what's going to happen. And he called it on Floyd and McGregor and whatnot. And here you have the situation where Cejudo is going to fight TJ. They're on, like you said, TMZ or whatever. They got the fight made right then and there. And Chael's like, that's what's going to happen. That's what's happening. And then today, I did see it.
You seen that one?
It sounded like it's Dominick Cruz now. And so I don't know what to think. I don't know if he's leveraging for Cruz because that's his homeboy and he's trying to do the thing, but the
Mhm.
Cejudo fight makes a lot of sense for the casuals as well. I think moving the divisions along would be the smart thing to do, but I don't think Endeavor is going to be smart in this situation. Most likely, they're going to do the super fight.
Okay. All right, yeah, and if I had to bet, yeah, like you said, I seen the Chill one on the first one where he talked about, because before even the first Chill video, I saw Henry Cejudo square off with TJ on the extra TV, and it was with Mario Lopez, and Mario Lopez was low key. It seemed like announcing the fight, like you'll be seeing these guys square off in the future. Now he didn't say it was next. He didn't say a date. He just said, "Yeah, man, the champion's gonna be squaring off." I was like, okay, that's interesting. And then I seen the Chill video, and he said it was a TMZ clip. And I was like, is he confused? And I was like, oh, they squared off on TMZ too, actually. So they went to Mario Lopez and squared off the champ versus champ. They went to TMZ, squared off the champ versus champ. But actually, there's signs and undertones that it's I'm starting to lean, actually, I think that there might be the Cruz fight. Because if you're TJ, honestly, at bantamweight, Cruz is the only option. He's the most money, and he's the legacy fight. He's not the only option as far as what we would like to see. Of course, there's Marlon Moraes and Rafael Dos Anjos, but as far as who do you have to beat to be the best of all time at bantamweight, it's Cruz. As far as who's the biggest money fight, it's Cruz. So Cruz is definitely up there, but the question is, like you said, it's just who is it, Cruz or Cejudo? But I think that Cruz fight, there's definitely some legs to that thing. Even though we've seen that's really interesting. But yeah, we'll see what happens, man. End of the year, it seems like either way. This is a topic I got off work last night and I fucking did my whole rant on this topic. I'm cooled off. I've woosawed by now. But either way, Jessica Andrade, she came out and said she's waited too long for this Rose fight and she wants an answer as far as UFC 232 is concerned. And she even had a little poster, 232, Namajunas versus Andrade. Like, let's go, girl. And I mean, and she got that crazy knockout recently over Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Arguably, in my opinion, I can't think of a more clean knockout than the one we saw of Jessica Andrade. A one-punch knockout, no follow-up needed. That might have been the cleanest in WMMA history, and that was already when she was looking to make a statement and get this title shot. You could already put her in the title fight. The word deserved and earned, yeah, I don't like to throw that around, but I'll just say you could have already put her in the title fight. But after she knocked out KK, she deserved and earned that fucking title shot. We got to get her in there. But with that being said, Rose has been healing up for her injury. But I think Rose will take this fight. Because there's a clear-cut contender. I think now if Tisha Torres would have beat Joanna, I think we would have been seeing some fuckery. Like, whoa, there's a trilogy. The fans want to see the trilogy. The fans want to see Tisha versus Rose 3. Sorry, Andrade. And it would have gave it credence because it would have been like, all right, it's a trilogy. I guess the fans, whatever. But since right now there's no clear-cut contender, I think Rose will take the fight. And if she does, how do you think the fight will go?
Man, if Rose could start training now, that's like 12 weeks out. So that she'll 4 weeks to get in shape, 8 weeks. I don't know, dude. That fight's so exciting to me. I think Andrade has that one-punch shot no matter what. Rose has looked incredible. I didn't think she'd beat Joanna the first time. I knew she'd probably have her the second time, but that girl looks fantastic. And what if she gets taken down and she submits her? Who knows what's going to happen? Full time. You got to go full screen real quick while I met my girlfriend in, though.
Okay, yep, no problem. 1 second. All right, we are now full screen. Whoa, what's up? What's up, panel? Yo, look at the show. We got our daily co-host. Shout out to MMA Buds, Dan from Oregon. He's been on the panel once before. He's got a great channel. He does fight reactions. He's just a legit hardcore fan, like a lot of us. He covers Fight Nights Global, ACB, any fights that come on around the world. You can probably see a fight companion with Dan. He's watching them and doing a companion. So he's definitely a legit fan. And like you can tell, he's knowledgeable about the sport. So love to have him on the show. I think you might be back. Yeah, we're back. We're back. All right, let me switch it to the boom. We're back. All right, so
what's happening?
So yeah, Andrade versus Namajunas. And like I said, I wouldn't count Rose all the way out by any means. You can't. If you're counting Rose out, you're ridiculous after what she did to Joanna. But I was just, on the. It seemed like there was starting to be a little hesitance with the clear, because recently, and I'm not saying Rose came out and said Andrade isn't a contender for the title. What she said was there's no clear contender. And at the time, Jessica had a fight scheduled, but still, a lot of us felt like Jessica if Rose was healthy, would be fighting for the title. So you look at her as a clear contender. But Rose didn't just come out and say Jessica's not a contender. She just, you know, so I do think Rose will take this fight. And at this point, you kind of have to, you know what I'm saying? Because there's no other. You can't fight Joanna. You can't fight Tisha. And then Carolina. That was another person. If Carolina would have beat Jessica Andrade, she would have probably been fighting Rose because she's got the win already. So Rose could pull off a submission. I'm not counting her out of the fight. Shoot, she might win a decision, but it's going to be close. It's going to be close. I'm not, can't count Andrade out either. That's all I'll say. I'm not counting Rose out, but also you can't count Andrade out. I would be interested to see who even the favorite might be in that fight, honestly. Ooh, that'd be interesting. And then think about this. As far as WMMA, like, I don't know if you've heard me talk about this or not. We know Nunes versus Cyborg is already at 232. This would put another WMMA title fight. And then, oh, by the way, we could have a WMMA triple header if Valentina versus Joanna gets put together for that inaugural or that vacant strap. And it's not going to be an all WMMA card because recently BJ Penn got announced for it, you know. But, I mean, as far as the title fights, all those fights, I think they could hold their own as far as the pay-per-view is concerned. Rose versus Andrade, Valentina versus Joanna, Cyborg versus Nunes, and then you got 5 of the greatest female fighters to date on the same card. Nunes, 145 GOAT, or 135 GOAT. Cyborg, 145 GOAT. Valentina, 125 GOAT. Joanna, Rose is taking the throne, but she still has the best legacy at 115. And then even, just to top it all off, Rose is also on the card, cherry on top. So that would be crazy, and all of those could happen at 232. But and real quick, what do you think? Who do you think should be next for Valentina? Do you like the Joanna fight, or do you think it maybe should be someone else?
I think they do Joanna because, you know, Nico was just the part that ruined that whole fight because there was no name value there. She's your first champion and everything, yeah, sure, but they're trying to build up Bullet, and Joanna's got this name power right now. If the UFC is going to do anything, I think they're going to cash out while they got these fights laying 100%. Here. And Joanna, 2 losses to Rose. Let's just move her up. I honestly don't think she wants to do it, though. I think Joanna wants to stay at 115. She loves being the way bigger girl, and she's already lost 3 times to that other chick. She's coming off of a win, yeah.
But this is the thing,
Torres,
though.
But
yeah, what do you do at 115?
Enough confidence.
What do you do at 115 if you're Joanna? Wait on Rose to lose?
Yeah.
And then now that's a realistic possibility, honestly, because if Andrade beat Rose, Joanna could come in and get the strap. But like you said, I think the UFC would love to put this fight together right now. It will be a bigger fight for Valentina. I'm sure she'd rather fight Joanna. She's a bigger name than Nico. And honestly, like you said, like to as far as Valentina is concerned, she just came off of beating the dog shit out of a girl, you know, that was probably off of her level. If she just did that again to Nico, it would kind of take away, like, okay, but she's not fighting people on her level, you know, it's not. But Joanna takes away from that. Okay, we know Joanna's got a legacy. Regardless of what happened in Muay Thai, that's definitely a bigger MMA fight. And I actually think you might be right. I don't know if it's the best thing that Joanna wants to do. She probably wants to stay at 115 right now and get the belt back before this, because I don't even know. Maybe she would because she's the former champion and it's a title fight. She might get pay-per-view points for that. Maybe she would. But, yeah, of all the parties involved, Joanna might be the most reluctant. But I think they could entice her. You know what I'm saying? Just being a company girl somewhat, you know, she's still not, I don't want to say believes in the UFC. She does, but, you know, because when she was the champion, she was a company girl. She was selling fights and shit like that. So I think she might do it. I think she might take the fight, but that's a perfect case scenario for me. If you can get all those fights on UFC 232 now, of course, UFC 231 in Toronto might need another title fight, because right now they're talking about Holloway versus Ortega on that card, but I'm curious to see if the UFC would even be that ballsy, no pun intended, to pull off the WMMA triple header. I for sure think they could do solid business. 400,000, 500,000 buys. Nothing crazy, but I think they could do solid business at the end of the year with that triple header. And
that all those fights getting made would be crazy, and I think talking Joanna into taking it with a title fight, that might be enough to do it. Getting all of them on that one New Year's Eve card, It's on a Saturday this year, so maybe they get it done. I have no idea what they're thinking. You know what, though? The UFC and a lot of sports in general seem to be going really heavy into the women. They're riding a lot into that. I think maybe trying to get the women fans, as you mentioned
100%.
earlier. Not a lot of women fans out there. And if that's a way to get them, then the UFC sees that as a huge opportunity. So doing 3 women on the main title or is the triple titles, that would be something to see.
And breaking into 2019, like coming into the ESPN, like that would be, yeah, that would be awesome. Like just thinking about that, like I'm as hyped for that potential card as any other card. Like all 3 of those, because they're great fights. Nunes versus Cyborg, Joanna versus Valentina, and Andrade versus Namajunas. Like they're all great fights. So yeah, that'd be awesome. Fingers crossed. Fucking fingers crossed, but that would be dope. Someone says, what if she KOs Andrade? Well, then she continues to make her legacy as the new bantamweight or the new strawweight queen. I think that might even be the least likely scenario, but shit, she did it to Joanna. So another fun topic right here. Yair Rodriguez hasn't even returned to training yet, and he's already calling out Zabit. After he's like, I can't wait till I get back to training. And by the way, like once I'm cleared to fight, I want Zabit. After now a history of what seems like ducking Zabit, and that's what it seems like to us fans. We've seen the reports that Zabit at one point was waiting at the Performance Institute for a couple of hours because he heard Yair was going to be there. Like, okay, I'm trying to make this fight. I want to see him, challenge him face to face. Hey, man, I want to fight you. And see if he turns me down face to face. But Yair never showed up. And then, of course, there was the fight supposed to be taking place at 227. That was the whole him calling fake news, getting fired from the UFC. They came back together and they scheduled the fight for 228. And then he gets injured ahead of that fight. So it just, outside looking in, it feels like Nico Montano all over again, but in the form of Yair Rodriguez, as to where when it's time to fight, something comes up. But now, and like Nico, she came out after she stripped. Oh, yeah, and by the way, I want to fight. Her team said it. I want to fight Antonina, or they wanted to fight Antonina, beat her up. They said the word beat her up, and then come for Valentina. It's like, yeah, it sounds good now that you don't have to fight her, but I don't know if we believe that. And same with Yair. He's not even healthy. Like, it's one thing if you're already ready to return to fighting, and you're like, all right, let's book it. But to be saying it right after you pulled out of the fight and you're not even cleared to fight, I don't know if I buy this or not. What about you?
I think Yair really wants this fight. I think the reason he held out is because he knows there's a lot of hype behind this fight and he wants to get properly paid. I don't hate the guy for that. Probably a legit injury, but I saw a lot of talk online where people are talking about Zabit's flashy, Zabit's crazy, Zabit's a maniac. Yeah, he is. But there's some holes in his game, too, with his striking. And some experts were talking about that. His boxing's a little suspect. Maybe he gets hit. I think Yair legitly thinks he can win this and steal all that momentum from Zabit. That's what I think. And so he doesn't want to let this fight slip away. Him and Zabit is going to be just as popular as it was. And whoever finally gets this fight, I guess it's going to be the lottery. It's like whoever finally gets Tony Ferguson versus Khabib when that fight finally successfully gets made, man. It's just, boom, you hit the jackpot. Awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be funny if after all of this, they actually end up putting the fight together and Yair comes out here and knocks Zabit out. Because Zabit has so much hype, so much potential. Like, if you listen to his teammates. And by the way, I asked this question the other day. I don't know if you know. Down there, do they have a name for their camp, Mark Henry's camp down there with Marlon Moraes and Frankie Edgar and Eddie Alvarez and all of those killers? Do they have a name? Because I can't think of their name, and I always try to think of it, but I don't know the name of their camp. But that's a great camp. But all of those guys come out and they say, oh, Zabit beats all of our asses in practice. Like, he's always the last one fighting. Like all of those former champions, Marlon Moraes, like all of these guys that are former champions and best fighters in the world, they co-sign Zabit and say that he whoops their ass. So to be that good, and when you listen to people break down the fights from Luke Thomas to the fucking Weasel, and when they talk about this kid's skills, it's almost like they're salivating talking about Zabit. Like, oh my God, he's so fucking good. And so for him to lose to Yair is just almost unfathomable. And that's only because you're thinking about Yair coming off of that loss to Frankie. That loss was a while ago, and he's been working. So maybe you can't count him all the way out, but I would expect Zabit to be probably a pretty big favorite. And just everything leading up to this fight, that's a hot take for sure. He said, I believe, I almost started laughing. He said, I believe Yair really wants this fight. Okay, hot take. But all right, so yeah, man, he called him out. Maybe he does. Maybe he does. We'll see if they can book that fight. Zabit may have changed his focus. After his fight, he called out Mendez and I believe Aldo. But I think this is a fight that Zabit really wants as well. So hopefully they can. This fight could mess around and be on that WMMA triple header for real. The end of the year. I mean, it could happen. Zabit's pretty healthy. So we got another topic though. After the defeat of Jon Dodson, Jimmie Rivera calls out Dominick Cruz and Cody Garbrandt. He's been wanting these fights since before he lost to Marlon Moraes. But it's not super interesting. I guess that's a little unfair. I was going to say, I'm surprised he's not one. Or a rematch with Marlon Moraes. That was a quick knockout. Instead of wanting to fight Dominick Cruz and Cody Garbrandt, I'm surprised Marlon Moraes' name isn't in that mix. I want to get that back. That was a quick knockout. It's not going to happen again. I want that back. But he's been wanting Cruz and Garbrandt. But Cruz and Garbrandt are the bigger fights. I mean, if you're trying to build your legacy up, those are the bigger names. Having Cruz under your belt, huge for your career. Same with Cody Garbrandt at this point. Might want to capitalize on that. But these are fights Jimmie Rivera has been asking for. He's been looking for that title shot. But he got a recent win over Jon Dodson. He looked great in the fight as far as he was really fast. He seemed well-rounded, great defense. Not the most entertaining or exciting performance, but I think Jimmie Rivera looked great against Jon Dodson. And so now he's looking for either Garbrandt or Cruz. This is what he said. He's a tough opponent. He has a huge win over the current champ, a knockout over TJ Dillashaw, who is our champ right now, talking about Jon Dodson. To go in there and beat him, I believe it was a unanimous decision, is a big deal. It feels good to be back on the horse. It feels good to be back in the win column, and it's a huge win over Jon Dodson. Obviously, my ideal situation is always to fight TJ Dillashaw for the title. I know he might be in the works for a fight, or the Henry Cejudo fight. Other than that, Cruz. He said he was hurt last time. We were booked to fight. He ducked me. Get in there. And yeah, he was booked to fight Cruz. Cruz got the broken arm, and Cruz returns to fight whenever TJ needs an opponent. So now Cruz, instead of worrying about this rematch and rebooking this, or instead of worrying about this rebooking this fight with Rivera, he's like, I want to fight for the title. So, yeah, man, well, what do you think should be next possibly for Jimmie Rivera after that win of Jon Dodson?
I think I'd like actually, as you talked me kind of into it, about the Dominick Cruz assumption that he's facing TJ. So if we go along that thinking, then face the kind of Jimmie Rivera likes to wrestle guys mostly. That's what he likes to do. So that seems kind of low risk for him in terms of getting KO'd. Don't get KO'd again. So you might a guy with like Twitter. That seems like it might come back for. I could see that fight happening.
Okay, one more time. It was cutting out a little bit. Who was it? I heard what you were saying, but I didn't hear the name. For Jimmie Rivera, Marlon Moraes, you said?
I think
one he can come back for? Oh,
Cody Garbrandt and Jimmie Rivera makes a lot of sense.
Okay, yeah, and I see that also in the chat. Salute to Arpit Singh. He says Jimmie versus Cody can happen. That'd be a good fight. Cody Garbrandt right now on a little bit of a social media getaway. You know, he's recouping, regathering, and that honestly, it's kind of convenient. You know what I'm saying? Because if Cody Garbrandt was getting right back in there, he wouldn't be in line for a title shot probably because he already lost twice to TJ. But if he takes some time off, lets TJ fight once or twice, you know, he could potentially lose. And then, like let's say Dominick Cruz fought TJ next. Well, then if Cody waited until Cruz won, like right now he's taking a vacation, like he could either come back and fight Jimmie Rivera, which would be a tough fight, and it would be awesome for us. We would love to see it. But for Cody Garbrandt, I just think what people do when they're at the top of the sport, I don't think he's going to take that fight because it's a high-risk, low-reward as to where he could just take some time off, spend some time with his family, and then what if Cruz fucks around and beats TJ again? Oh, I guarantee you, the minute that happened, Cody Garbrandt will reactivate his Twitter, reactivate his Instagram. What up, Cruz? I already beat you once. I'm ready for my return. You know what I'm saying? And try to get right back in that title fight rather than going through Marlon Moraes or Jimmie Rivera. I don't think Dominick Cruz or Cody Garbrandt really wants to go through those fights because it's not a high reward. I think they just want to try and use their place in the UFC in the division to try and wait for that title fight. And that leaves this division log jammed a little bit. But with that being said, I think what would possibly be next for Jimmie Rivera that's not being talked about but would still be a good fight is Rafael Dos Anjos. I think that's also reasonable. Both of them are two of the guys in the conversation, and if Dominick Cruz gets the fight, if Cody Garbrandt's out, then I like Jimmie Rivera versus Rafael Dos Anjos because that would be, and even then the winner of that fight for sure should get the title shot, but will they? Who knows? It depends on who wins the title fight, if Cody comes back and all of that. But yeah, so Garbrandt versus Rivera would be a great fight. I agree that's the fight that I would love to see. Well, what's most realistic? I would probably say Rivera versus Dos Anjos. That'd be a good fight as well. John Taylor says Cruz ain't beating TJ now. He's damaged. TJ's a different fighter now also. That's a real possibility, but you know how it works. You know, maybe Cruz's style, maybe TJ hasn't been able to figure out Cruz's style. But who knows? Maybe Cruz could have just slowed down to the point to where TJ beats him now. But I don't know if that's the case. Just because Cody Garbrandt went out there and styled on Cruz doesn't mean TJ can. But that could be that's very realistic though. Maybe Cruz comes in there and he's a step behind, and TJ just smokes him. But it'd still be a good fight, and it's also still the best option if you're TJ Dillashaw. So, Tatyana Suarez confident she can beat Rose Namajunas more decisively than she beat Carla Esparza. I don't know what it is, and honestly, I don't have room to talk because I'm one of the biggest Kayla Harrison fans out there. But I just feel like now with this win, man, Tatyana Suarez is getting put way up there on a pedestal with this win over Carla Esparza. And it was an impressive win, but she was picked to come in here and win pretty handedly, and she did it. And now everyone's talking about her like even fucking skipping Andrade, or like Tatyana Suarez is the next champion. They're talking about what can she do to Rose and calling her the female Khabib and all of this. And I'm like, yo, that's all possible. It's possible. Maybe she does go up to 26-0, but right now she's only 9-0. So with that being said, right now I don't know. I'm not sold that she can beat Rose. I'm not sold that she can beat Andrade, but I am sold that I would like to see those fights. I don't now. Completely don't get me twisted. I do not want to see Suarez versus Rose for 1 second until Andrade is in the mix, but I do think Suarez could potentially challenge for this title soon. And honestly, I'm rooting for her because if Suarez can challenge for the title at 9-0 or look good in a title fight at 8-0 or 9-0, that gives me even more hope for my girl Kayla Harrison, who's also coming over with some great grappling. Suarez has a underrated record because she's only like 7-0 or 8-0, but she's been wrestling since she was like 3 years old. There's fucking pictures of her with wrestling headgear on, wrestling with the boys at 3 fucking years old, and she ain't stopped, and you see it in her fights. Amazing wrestler. I actually want to go back and watch Tatyana Suarez's, wherever she fought before this, Invicta, wherever. I want to go back and watch all of her fights and see how does her striking look, how does her jiu-jitsu look, because we know her wrestling is solid. But I want to see how well-rounded she is before we start putting her on this pedestal. That's just me personally. But with that being said, she's very confident, and this is what she had to say. I think I'll do the same thing I did to Esparza. I'll do the same thing to Rose. It actually might be worse because Rose isn't nearly as good of a wrestler as Esparza. She's longer, but that's about it. Yo, fuck around and sell a fight out here, Tatyana Suarez. That sounded like fighting words. It actually might be worse because Rose isn't nearly good of a wrestler as Esparza, but she continued. We saw what Esparza did to Rose, and I think I'm the best wrestler in the division. $2 super chat from now and later. Fuck you, full-time MMA doggy. What is going on now and later? Thank you very much for the $2 in the super chat. John Taylor said, damn it, you found a way to work Kayla into the mix. Yo, I'm just saying. I'm being realistic. If Kayla goes 4-0, she fights one more time by the end of the year. I'd like it to be in December because there's going to be a lot of spotlight on WMMA once we get our ideal WMMA triple header. So let's get Kayla Harrison fighting in December at a PFL event. And then 4 fights. We get 4 fights in 2019, and we'll be at 7-0. And then, boom, we fight once or twice in 2020, and then we'll be at 8-0, 9-0 by the time it's time to dethrone Cyborg. We'll be ready for that. So if Tatyana Suarez can do it with her wrestling credentials, then Kayla can do it with her judo credentials, damn it. And I know they're not the same, but also Kayla Harrison has 2 gold medals. I don't think Tatyana Suarez is an Olympic gold medalist. She's just a fucking very talented wrestler. But either way, just seeing that in WMMA is scary because whenever wrestling first came to the UFC, they started fucking everybody up. You see what a wrestler would do to a striker, what happens a lot of the time, and WMMA still developing into what MMA is. A strong wrestler that's been wrestling for a long time, they're going to be problems to a lot of people. And Tatyana Suarez for sure could challenge for the title with this little bit of fights, just like my girl Kayla. But yeah, so Carla Esparza or Tatyana Suarez feels like she can do the same thing to Rose that she did to Esparza because Esparza beat her. But Tatyana, sweetie, I know you kind of knew, but I'll just say this. MMA math doesn't always work that way. But she does would probably have the wrestling advantage in that fight. So Super Chat won't let me curse, says Now and Later. What type of bullshit is that? That's crazy. I didn't know that. I wonder if I can change that. I'll have to try and fix that. So what are your thoughts on Tatyana Suarez, MMA buds?
Dude, that girl is a beast. Honestly, before Valentina got pulled off the card altogether, I said, let's take Tatyana and throw her up into the flyweight to challenge Valentina. I was high on this chick coming into this fight, and her wrestling is top notch. But it's not only that, man. It's her size. Her size advantage is
She's
insane.
probably great at cutting weight.
Down there, she's gonna be bigger than every other.
Andrade even.
So, she'll be bigger than her. I don't know.
I'm
if
sure she'll be
stronger
taller.
than Andrade.
Yeah. Yeah, so she's a big strawweight. And those wrestlers have always been the best at cutting weight. So having her wrestling base, you could imagine she's probably going to be better at cutting weight than a lot of these girls.
Yeah, just be weary of any undefeated fighter. Any undefeated fighter is definitely going to get that UFC push. We've seen that a lot lately with Cynthia Calvillo was undefeated. Francis Ngannou, you might as well have been undefeated. Darren Till. Cody Garbrandt was undefeated. All these people got the massive push. Yeah, Habib, he went through some people though. So
yeah,
but just like
I'm just saying he's another undefeated one.
We've only seen that one dimension out of her yet. So who knows what she could bring to the table, but that undefeated record, I hope the fighter knows how valuable that is to the UFC, because the UFC sees that above all. They want their Floyd Mayweather, who, every time they could push him as, 12-0, 13-0, 14-0. They want that build up, that craziness where you really buy in as a fan with all, because they can't call you a god if you've lost. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
they love their god fighters. At least that's what I think.
And that's why I kind of want to go back and watch all of her fights, because I want to see how well-rounded she is. I want to see if she's just, coming in and relying on her wrestling, or if she's showing head movement and all of the, the leg kicks and a diverse array of strikes, how she's working and how she's improving. Because I don't know exactly how old she is, but I'm pretty sure she's pretty young, like maybe 25, if even that. I'm not sure, but she's got a bright future for sure. What do you think should be maybe next for her if Andrade fights Rose? And Joanna fights, because I was thinking Tatyana versus Joanna would be great, but if Joanna fought Valentina, then who would you like to see Suarez fight next? Maybe wait for one of those fights, the loser of one of those, maybe even like fight Joanna if she loses, or fight Andrade if she loses, or Rose, because I want to see her fight one of the top girls.
That leaves Claudia Gadelha out there floating around.
Ooh, that'd be fun. We saw what Jessica did.
Fight booked, so she would have to get the victory.
Yeah, she's fighting Nina Ansaroff. Yep.
Yeah. I think that goes to Toronto or something. So
someone said Carolina. Would you want to see Carolina have to go at Andrade or Tatyana? Yeah, that'd be kind of like when Edson had to fight Khabib, and then they threw him at Kevin Lee next. It's like, damn, his face is still healing. It's like, but. That's just another top 5 matchup for Tatyana if she wasn't able to, because everyone else might be booked soon. So Carolina's the type that'll take the fight. She's the Polish cowgirl. Anyone, anywhere, any place, she'll fucking fight Tatyana. Don't get Carolina fucked up. But she's gonna need some time to heal up and come back. So
full time, can you and the whole full time family in the chat, can you stand jumping on Instagram that Sunday or that Saturday night and watching Carolina cry into the camera again? Can you watch that? Because I can't, dude. I don't want to
Yeah.
see that fight. I don't want to see that.
Dude, I fucking hated that. Like right after the knockout, they put the camera, the aerial view, and she was just out. I'm like, no, that's my girl, dog. Come on, why are we doing this? What are we really doing here? Yeah, no. That
she
shit
had
was
a full address to the people too. She went on her Instagram too, and it's just like right there in her face, and she's crying. She's talking in Polish, and I couldn't understand it, but it was
still hard to watch.
See that.
Yeah, man. That's unfortunate, but you know what? Hey, this is the fight business, and shit. No one really can expect that in the strawweight division. Like, that's still kind of new, but yeah, Karolina Kowalkiewicz, definitely that's hard to watch. You know, even when you can't understand it, it's like you just feel it. But quick update on Alistair, man. He's hinting that the end is near, and I think that's kind of expected. But how soon? He's going to be fighting. He just fought Curtis Blades. I don't know if he has a fight coming up, but he spoke with Brett Okamoto recently, and Brett Okamoto was asking him about his decision to move from Albuquerque to Denver, and I thought it was going to have something to do with the whole puppy mill situation, and it still might, but he's not going to come out here and be the guy with the loose lips spilling the beans, but that still might have had something to do with him leaving the camp. Like, I'm not here for all this drama. I'm not trying to choose between you guys. I'm going to a camp where I can focus on fighting and not train with bums off the street, for one, and for two, have to hear about the bullshit going on between Wink and Cowboy every day. So he moved to Denver, which is a great camp. He's even been training a little bit with Curtis Blades, which is good to see. He can help sharpen up Curtis Blades' striking, maybe work on his wrestling, which at this point in his career, it's not like he's trying to fucking become a wrestling ace, but still, he can give some of his experience to the up-and-comers. But this is what he had to say. I'm 38 years old, and that's important to note. I fully realize the end of my career is coming. It's just coming. You can't fight forever. I had a beautiful career, 21 years. Crazy. 21 years of fighting. The end is coming, but I can still do this right now. I can still go all in. So the end is coming, says Alistair Overeem, and it is going to be kind of hard to imagine, like Brett Okamoto said, a heavyweight division without Alistair, but hey, man, he definitely had crazy legacy in the sport, you know, all the way from before the UFC, how credentialed he is in striking before even MMA. One of the most experienced MMA fighters, fought for the UFC title. That's really the only title he wasn't able to capture, I believe. I mean, I don't think he fought for Bellator, but he had the Strikeforce Grand Prix title, I believe, the M1 kickboxing, like some crazy, like he had a lot of titles, and he got to the, did he get to the UFC title fight? He didn't. Yeah, he fought Stipe. Thought he felt the tap and didn't get the win, but he was so fucking close. So close. But yeah, man. Any thoughts on Alistair Overeem? I don't think he has a fight coming up, but just thoughts on where he's at in his career?
Man, I don't think people are going to appreciate Alistair like they really should. And it's a travesty because, yeah, Dream champ, Strikeforce champ, over there. I would love to see him over in Japan again or something, because they would go crazy for that.
Man,
he didn't get the respect over here.
He's only 38. That's a possibility.
He had a crazy losing streak in the UFC, and I'll be honest, man. As a fan of Alistair, watched him come in the UFC, I was a big fanboy into him, like I was into Anderson Silva. And watching both of those guys get KO'd was just a travesty. And I've tried not to get that invested into fighters ever since. But watching Alistair getting KO'd after beating the crap out of guys for like a couple rounds, and Bigfoot took him out, Travis Brown took him out, Ben Rothwell took him out. I was just like, no. And then he came back with a new game plan, was kind of getting it done. But then going against some of those gunslingers is crazy. And if I don't know if he's going to walk away, maybe from the sport altogether, maybe just from the UFC.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe since he's only 38, you know, maybe his contract's coming up and he's talking about it being over. But, man, he could for sure have a one. He could make some money in Rizin or even Bellator, I'm sure. But Rizin, I think that would be a great place for Alistair Overeem. He's already got a legacy over there as far as, you know, built up his resume. And so, I mean, yeah, I could for sure. I would like to see that Alistair Overeem fighting for Rizin. I think that would be cool at the end of his career. But yeah, man, great.
I just imagine, as I think about it full time, like, who's going to give you a better send off at the end of the day? it's not going to be the UFC. They don't really. If you're done, they don't want.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk about you. Bellator, they really might. They might send you off in a great fashion. I think since Chandler stayed with them, whenever he finally goes, they're gonna get something great for him set up. But yeah, Risen, I think they would give you some sort of extravagant fucking 30,000 bouquets and flowers and
Yeah.
light shows, all the awesome
3
shit you
Asian
want.
bitches. No.
A ramp with some flames and some pyro to go with it as you walk out the door, and then the lights go down. That's going to happen over in Risen, not here in the UFC. So if he wants something like that, a crazy send off, I think that's what he should do. But I don't know how many fights he's got left. I don't know how obtainable that is.
Okay, all right, yeah, and it'd be interesting to see how many fights he had left on his contract. But yeah, he's only 38, even though we've seen him knocked out a couple of times, and he's got some years left as a heavyweight. But Kenshiro Ryu makes a good point. He says Japan can't afford to pay Reem $200K per fight, and the UFC Reem gets $900K per fight, win or lose. Reem's sexy ass costs too much. Yeah, that might be hard for Rizin to deal with that contract, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? Maybe I don't want to say something under the table. I don't know. I would say maybe just it's not for the money. Maybe he's got the money and he just wants to go over there, just because. Like, and I don't know. I don't know exactly how much Rizin has to deal with. I'm not too much into Rizin and their finances, but I mean, for a biggest star, maybe for one big name, they could pay some money. But yeah, he ain't gonna make no damn $900K probably. So maybe he'll take half. He can get sponsors. Maybe they can. Meet in the middle, get some sponsors. I don't know, but it would just be nice to see him over there. But yeah, it might not be realistic. Who knows? But the end is coming, says Overeem. We actually have one more topic to talk about today, so I want to thank MMA Buds for being on. Actually, we can talk about UFC Moscow because it was just my Twitter feed right there. I thought I had another tweet to talk about, but there is the return of Nikita Krylov, and actually you'd be a great person to talk about that with. So he went to Fight Nights Global, I believe. He was in his last 6 fights when he left the UFC. Nikita Krylov was 5-1, and in all 29 of Nikita Krylov's fights, it's been a finish. Win or lose, 24 wins, 5 losses, 0 decisions. Finisher, win or lose, and he's coming back. This is what happened. He was 5-1, and I don't know if his contract expired or what, but he's a guy that the UFC, I'm sure, did not want to let go because he's a light heavyweight. He got a great record as a light heavyweight. He's still young, finisher. I mean, and he was 5-1 when he exited the UFC. He went on a 5-fight finishing streak, lost 1 fight, and then was out of the UFC. I don't know if it was a contract thing, but he went over to Fight Nights Global, and he picked up 4 more finished wins, got back on his win streak, and now he's back. He's returning. He's taking on Jan Blachowicz. Jan Blachowicz just, beat Jimmie Manuel, one of the better strikers of the division, pretty handedly. So no easy matchup at all for Nikita Krylov. Do you have any thoughts on Nikita Krylov and then also the matchup?
Yeah, man. Nikita in the UFC is just the case of the UFC's got a Russian that doesn't speak English, and so they don't really know what to do with him. And the guy, like you said, every single one of his fights has ended by finish. How can you not market something like that? Well, the UFC pits him up against, I think it was Misha Serkinov, and they said, whoever wins this, I guess we'll keep him. And then Nicky Frills, as the co-main event likes to call him, he went out there over to Russia, was getting some good paydays, I don't know what, but he quickly became Fight Nights Global Champ. And over in Russia, he went 4-0, like you said. 3 of those was for Fight Nights Global. So
yeah.
Crazy record for him. Jan Blachowicz probably going to try and wrestle him. He has been looking better as of lately. He had a couple of losses in the UFC, but since then, some quality wins under his belt. And so you got the Polish guy versus the Ukrainian or Russian, wherever he is.
Yeah, Ukraine.
I think they're setting up Nicky Frills, the Fight Nights Global Champ, because that's an organization based in Moscow. They're going to try to get him a victory here. And I think, what is it? This whole card has 10/11 Russians on it. and you're going to see at least 6 or 7 victories by all these guys. It's Russia versus the world, and I think it's going to be like the old UFC Brazil cards where
Yo, Dan,
all
you're
the
low-key a
Brazilians.
genius, man, because I'm on the same page as you. That's like that. My thoughts going into this fight, I'm thinking like I could see like a high success rate for the Russian fighters. You know, not just the debut in Moscow, but also coming up on Khabib versus McGregor. The world's going to be watching. That's going to, you know, make people kind of hyped. So I could see like the matchmakers trying to get some of the Russian fighters maybe some wins here. And like you said, Krylov, man, he's returning. Like this is a big win. I think for him a win here would do numbers. For one, it gets him right back in the conversation, you know what I'm saying, in the rankings, because right now he's unranked. And so if he could beat Jan Blachowicz, he jumps immediately like into the top 5 and he's right back where he left off. And if he loses, it's kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really know what happens there. He just has to come back again. But his most recent win over in Fights Night Global was actually against Fabiano Maldonado over there. And like you said, he finished everybody. I mean, I got his record up right now on the screen. 4 submission losses, 1 KO loss, 14 submission wins, 10 KO wins, 0 decision, 0 decision. So, fucking finisher of the highest order in that light heavyweight division. And then, of course, you got the main event, Mark Hunt versus Aleksei Oleinik. We talked about that a little earlier. You want to give your prediction before we get out of here for that fight?
I think I'll run up down some fights real quick.
Okay.
Mark Hunt and Oleinik, that's going to be a finish, whatever way it goes. Oleinik with the submission, Hunt with the walkaway KO. I think my heart leads me more to Hunt walkaway KO. I want to see one of those again, but we'll see what happens there. Jumping down though, Alexei Konchenko takes on Thiago the Pitbull Alves. That guy. Konchenko's 18-0 as a welterweight. You guys got to look out for him. It might not be the most exciting fight because he's aggressive, but he might get the decision victory here. And then on the undercard, Peter Yan is on this thing. And if everyone's so high on Zabit, he came out of ACB. This is the same organization that Peter Yan is coming out of. And people are real high on him, at least the crazy hardcores. But some other guy on the card, his nickname is Beard. And Adam Yadiv, 9-0, takes on Jordan Johnson. I think he fought in the Contender Series, 9-0, and that should be an excellent scrap. And 2 more Russians I got to mention. Kalbalov, he's won 5 in a row. He's a decision machine, though. He's taking on Desmond Green.
No, that's Tysonov taking on Desmond Green. Kabalov's taking on Cajun Johnson. They're both on the card.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Cajun Johnson. And Cajun Johnson's set up to lose right here. We know the UFC wants him to lose.
Yo, yes, sir. They want him the fuck out of here.
Is getting green. Tasimov's coming off 5 KOs in a row. So not decisions like Kalbalov, but KOs. Tasimov is someone that's definitely exciting to watch. And Desmond Green was involved in a car accident and 2 people died, man.
And it was a kind of and he's the one that lost control of his vehicle. So there's still the investigation, but that could be, you know, I don't even want to go to worst case scenario, but just the alleged story that happened was he lost control of his vehicle, wrecked into, I believe, like a parked semi or a semi, but it caused multiple 3 or 4 other cars to be in an accident. And 2 people ultimately died in the accident, so there's going to be an investigation. But you know how sometimes how that goes. If you're the cause of a 4-car pileup or a 4-car accident and people die, after the investigation, you could have like some sort of manslaughter charges, you know. And that's worst case scenario. Don't want to put that on Desmond Green, but that's shit that he does have to deal with coming into this fight. That's on his mind because it was like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, man, it's all some crazy shit going on there. But if you guys need me to sell you on this fight anymore, then there's 2 pit bulls, and there was a Wolverine on this card, but you get a Doberman in CV Dalloway. And so that's all I need to sell you. It's during the day. You can watch this. And then if you're kind of sicko boxing fan like me, I'm going to be watching Triple G versus Canelo. But you're working full-time. I'm doing my Hangout reaction stream. So anyone that wants to come out from the full-time family and hang out, they're more than welcome.
Yes, sir. MMA Buds on YouTube. Yeah, man, thanks for coming on. Anytime you want to come on, I'm going to start doing this more often. Probably every stream I'll have like a daily co-host. So if you're on, if you want to hop on, come on. I enjoy having you on. You know what you're talking about. So salute to you. Thanks for coming on again. And yeah, I'm just gonna play a song and get out of here. So thanks for coming on, Dan. MMA Buds. Make sure you go subscribe on YouTube. He covers the ACB, Fight Nights Global, and all the prelims, UFC, Bellator. Like, he watches those and does companions. He's grinding, and we always respect the grinders over here. So thanks for coming on, man, for sure.
No problem. And PFL Facebook Watch. I'll be doing those always too.
Yes,
and
sir.
Yeah, back to you, Snickos, man. This was fun.
Yes, sir. All right, later. All right, full-time family. That is it for the co-host for today, Dan from Oregon, MMA Buds. Shout out to him. Salute to the chat. The show is pretty much over, full-time family. I mean, we had some fun today. I think I enjoyed the show. I think the Simp segment went well. We were 1 second late for Arpit. If he was still in here, I just gotta flash it. Arpit, if you're watching, this is our Simp segment from here on out, man. You know, we gotta break up the monotony. We're gonna be checking out the old Instagrams and shit. You know what I'm saying? During the Simp segment, got the spicy music. Gonna be fun, you know. So I've been working, man. Speaking of work, the show tomorrow, the live show, we're gonna be on in the daytime, early, man. Maybe 11 a.m. Eastern. That's probably the time I'm going to have to do it. 12 a.m. Eastern or 11 a.m. Eastern, because my shift is at 1 p.m. Eastern. I got to be to work and shit like that. And we got one car. Got to get dropped off. Bada boom, bada bang. You know how that goes. So I'm going to be working early tomorrow. Got shifts all next week. That's going to be dope. Need the money on that. We got a super chat. Now and Later says, good show, boys. I'll watch it back. Thank you very much for the $2 Now and Later. That is much appreciated. Now and Later also said, a blood robbed me on Rikers Island twice while he was dumping on the toilet. I heated up some baby oil sugar in a bottle and squirted on him and let the punches go. His skin melted off pink, screaming, yo, he shouldn't let the punches go. Got his ass. Hey, that's funny as fuck. But yeah, man, so to get out of here, man, we're going to play McGregor versus Khabib. I like it. UFC Yankovic, if you haven't yet, go check it out. Subscribe. It's a motherfucking party as soon as we hit 1,000 subscribers over there. That's going to be dope. Now and Later says, watch me on Life After Penitentiary next week. Life After the Penitentiary next week, YouTube. Oh, shit. That's going to be dope. I'm going to definitely check that out. Okay. That sounds dope. Now and Later, hey, next week, as soon as that comes out, definitely let us know. I want to check that out. John Taylor said, thanks, full-time later. Yes, sir, man. So we'll be back tomorrow a lot earlier, because I got work. But either way, we got UFC Moscow Saturday, and like MMA Bud says, it's in the daytime, which means we can even watch Triple G versus Canelo, since we're casual boxing fans and we really don't give a fuck. So we wouldn't watch it over UFC, but since they're not competing, we'll check it out. With that being said, yeah, get the Megan interview, says Arpit Singh. I would interview her. I would interview anybody. I ain't got no problems with them. But yeah, Arpit, what you think about the Simp segment? Speaking of Megan, you like it? You like it, man? I know you're one of the fellow Simps out there. There ain't no shame. I'm a Kayla Harris Simp. We are all a little simping sometimes. What'd you think about it, though? True story. Tune in. Thanks, kid, full time. Yes, sir. Can't wait for that shit. Let's play Cardi B versus Conor McGregor versus Khabib and get the fuck out of here, family. It's been a great show, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. Yeah, so let's go.
Full-time MMA right now.
It's full-time MMA right now. Let's turn this shit up, man. It's bagel time, says Derek B. What's going on?
They call me Conor McGregor, there's no one better. I'm a fuck Khabib up, then go rematch Floyd Money Mayweather. If this dog shit Dagestani thinks he can stand with me, I'll damage him and leave him panicking. Let Russia know I am the king. I don't like you, won't even pretend to try to. I've waited this long to fight you. You shouldn't have fucked with my crew. You ambush Artem Lobov in the hotel lobby, so we went and called gang. Now I'm coked up off of Molly, now I'm coming to the stage. So I think that you should probably stay the fuck up out my way. Somebody get me a dolly.
Full-time UFC reactions. All right, I don't know what to react to, man. You know, I'll do that, but I got to put them on a separate channel. I got to do that. Kayla Harrison coming. You're Conor McGregor. What the fuck is wrong with you? Come here, let me smash you like chicken. Just let me humble you. You take all these drugs, but you won't take home a W. If we fight in the UFC or if we fight with guns and crews. No, let me stop it. You don't want me to take it there. If you want, you can take a Bearson location and I'll be there. Yo, what's going on? 2020 says remove. Listen, I'll just say it. Let's go. I'm rooting for Tatyana Suarez just because she's, you know, keeping the Kayla Harrison dream alive until 2020. I can't fucking wait, full-time family. With that being said, thank you all for coming through the show. Again, thanks to the co-host of the day, MMA Buzz. Make sure you check out his YouTube channel. Salute to the motherfucking chat. We'll be back tomorrow before work in the daytime. It is what it is. Let the full-time family know what you think in the comments.